Hey, stream's not starting for like 12 minutes, but I just had a thought and I'm gonna forget it by the time stream starts. How wild are pumpkins? And like gourds and stuff, you know? Aren't those wild? You're just walking in a field and you just see like a gigantic, like hard as brick pumpkin. And it's just there. Like, okay, You know, folks, pretty much every stream I open by saying we've got so much to do today, we've got so much to do today, and then you know what we end up doing? We spend 90 minutes arguing with chat. Today we actually do have a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to shy away from doing any of it. We have a lot of donations to read, we have a lot of content to cover. We're going to have a discussion in about 3 hours with a person who I won't spoil, but I think they've had a very interesting life and life experiences. We are about to enter the content grind. We're about to take that lefty mindset and we're going to turn it into a lefty grind set. Okay? That's what we're about to do. All right? We're hitting the content mills, baby. Okay? That's what we're doing right now. You know it. You know it. Rise and grind, baby. Absolutely. No 30-minute stun locks, right? Maximum 2-minute stun locks. But before we get into all that, we got to do the warm-up. Got to lube up a little bit. How was everyone's day? Yesterday, I guess, because it's early for most Americans. Excuse me. Good. Good. Going well. Nice. Making pizza. Nice. From scratch. That's pretty amazing if so. Nice. Went to the beach with my GF. Very, very cute. Nice. Came out as non-binary. Congratulations, I love the poor. Nice, nice, nice. Bosh, you ever cried on stream? Had a heart-to-heart with my chat. Super emotional. I can't let these people see me down. Dr. Heem down. I can't. Well, yesterday I had another physical therapy appointment, and oh god. Oh wait, guys. I can't believe I haven't told you yet because it was so funny. For the first time, this is the first time this has happened. I got recognized in public in a negative context. It's normally when people see me in public, they're just like, dude, Vosh, Alden's number, brah. And, you know, I laugh and wave. But this time I was walking over to my physical therapy appointment, like, early in the morning, you know? I'm in my workout clothes. I've got my tank top. I've got my jorts on, you know? I'm strutting. And somebody, I'm crossing the street. Somebody bikes up next to me, like to my left. And I hear them say something like, you give real leftists a bad name, Vosh. Yes, that's a quote, by the way. That's what they said. Pretty much the same tone, too. So, of course, my first anti-fan in public would be, like, a mauling lefty or whatever. I wonder if they were, like, of the woke scold camp or if they were of the tanky camp, you know? It could be either one. It's really hard to say. Did they sound exactly like that? I feel like I'm imitating the tone pretty well. Did I say anything back? I laughed really loud. But anyway, yeah, no. I didn't actually turn to see their face, so I can't make any derogatory comments about their appearance, which I wouldn't anyway, unless they had something particularly funny on, like a pair of cat ears, in which case I would know that they belong to the woke scold camp, or a Yashanka, in which case I would know they belong to the tanky camp, and, you know, it's something to know. Oh, I also played in the, as a player, not as a DM, in the first session of a D&D campaign being hosted by Hyena, which was really nice. I am playing a large half-elf paladin, and I am modeling him off of Nolan from Invincible and all that entails. Anyway, and anyway, we have content to get to, okay? As an Australian, I hope your stream title is not bait. Oh, don't you wish it wasn't. Hold on, folks. We're getting to that first. Everyone ready to enter the grind set? You better be ready to enter the grind set. Boss, show your art. No, the drawing I did is bad. I'll do a better drawing. That was just a rush. I did that in like 20 minutes with like a ink brush that was running out of ink. You know? You better do Peru. We're doing everything today, folks. But in order for me to do everything, we have to ignore you guys. All right. So there's this guy called Friendly Jordies. I don't know much about him. I've been told he's a big deal. I'm sure he is. The only thing that I know about him, and I'm being serious when I say this too, this isn't like hyperbole. The only thing that I know about him is that somebody once sent me a clip of him on a podcast where he called me, and again, I didn't know who he was, fat and stupid, which, okay, 2 for 2, you got me there. And I'm not sure about this. I think this is because I pointed out that people in Australia have to live in Australia, and that it's a problem. I don't know if it was rebuke for that. I don't really know. It's true, but having been to Australia, it is, folks. It's the whatever the opposite of the Shadow Realm is, you know, in concept opposite, but just as bad. That's what Australia is. It's the sunlight. It's the sunlight land or something. I don't know. Anyway, regardless of anything regarding whatever beef between us, something genuinely distressing has happened to Friendly Jordies, and it's something that we need to talk about. Okay. Some truly 1984 stuff has happened. All right. I didn't even know who controls Australia in 1984. Is it also part of Oceania? Right. It's the same. It's not controlled by Southeast Asia, right? It's controlled by, yeah, it's okay. It's controlled by, it makes sense because it's Oceania. I mean, you'd think that would include Australia. Well, Friendly Jordies is an Australian content creator. He looks good in a bathrobe. And this is a video that was released towards the end of 2020. Let's take a look at some content. He is about to riff off of a prominent political figure in the fantastical land of Australia.
John Barilaro is a man whose expediency seeps right down to his very genetics, as not only do his political convictions turn on a dime, but so does his ethnicity. Proud Italian when he thinks he can score pity points, rinky-dink Johnny from the bush when he thinks he can score a national seat. Willing to change his entire identity, right down to his name. Surely distressing his inner child who would wonder,
Hey, Giovanni, what's the matter? You're not talking with your accent no more.
Brazza mia! He's a con man to the core, powered by spaghetti. As such, I'll be referring to him from now on as Giovanni. And not just because that's his name, but also because he's just such a Giovanni.
You get the gist. Basically, the man that he's riffing off of here, the guy who he's making fun of right there, it occupies a position which is basically equivalent to the position of a governor here in the United States. He's what would they call it? A province head of province, right? Something. Deputy premier. Deputy premier. That's right. New South Wales deputy premier. Basically a governor. Anyway, so our man over here, Friendly Jordies, he has a little bit of a laugh at the expense of this man. Now, I cannot speak, and I want to be very, very clear, I cannot speak to the legal system in Australia, okay? I cannot do that, all right? I can't speak to whether or not anything that's happening is actually legal or illegal, okay? The only thing I can really speak to is a set of gut feelings that I have, all right? And my gut feeling is that when Friendly Jordies was subsequently sued for defamation by that same deputy premier, that's bad. This is my gut feeling is telling me that when incredibly powerful political figures sue YouTubers for making fun of them, that's bad. Now, keep in mind, you can sue, at least here in America, you can sue anyone for just about anything. You can sue whatever. You can sue anything. You can go down to the courthouse and you can file whatever litigation you want. The real question is, will the courts take it seriously? Okay? Now, the problem is, lawsuits which are baseless usually get dismissed by the courts if they're just completely ridiculous. Do you think the courts are as likely to dismiss on grounds of baselessness lawsuits filed by a deputy premier? Probably not, actually. And the fact that they're filing these lawsuits at all has a significant chilling effect on free speech, something which I assume Australians care about but can't actually confirm. Because if making fun of your local political figure can mean you just get slammed by litigation, then it's really, really tough to make fun of powerful people. Remember, we went through this with Trump, too. Remember how Trump wanted to loosen up libel laws and slander laws here in the United States, making it easier for him to sue fake news media? Now, in reality, what Trump was trying to do, he wasn't trying to cut down on fake news. He was trying to bully with litigation media outlets that reported unfavorable things from him. And that's a really dangerous precedent to set. The free press, as flawed as it is here in America, or no doubt in Australia, is one of the most critical elements of a functioning democracy because it's basically the only way we know anything is going on. Now, is the free press often quite cucked? Yes, it certainly is, 100%. But through the free press, do we occasionally get, say, for example, the Panama Paper leaks? Do we get the most recent leaks from the IRS proving that our billionaires pay essentially nothing, and that the and that the entire system is more rigged than we thought beforehand? There are benefits. The Pentagon Papers, of course, there are benefits, of course, to a functioning. Yes, John Oliver did a whole thing on slap suits. I forget what the acronym means, but it essentially means a lawsuit that you throw out there just to silence people. It's not a good lawsuit. It's not going to win in court. You do it just to shut somebody up. That's what you do. Now, mind you, our deputy premier over here, he didn't just sue Friendly Jordies. He sued Google for not removing the 2 YouTube videos that Friendly Jordies posted. Now, again, I'm not a legal expert here. Pretty sure that's also not going to go. Pretty sure that's not going to fly. Good luck. It's just a scattershot approach. You just intimidate as many people as you can to keep people quiet about you. And let me tell you, by the way, okay? If politicians are going after YouTubers, it is truly the end times, okay? If they're going after YouTubers, that's past going after journalists. They are truly digging through grains of sand at the beach to find people to attack, to defend their political, we are beyond the pale, okay? Eventually, you're going to be on Xbox Live. You're going to be choking down Mountain Dews and showing the QR code up to your Xbox webcam to confirm that you have the right to play 15 more minutes of Halo Ultimate, all right? And you're going to be on, voice call or something. You're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm not so much a fan of that Deputy Premier Jean Barillo Castillo Barillo. And then the kangaroos kick in your door, okay? The Australian police, they actually rappel up from the floorboards and they kill you and they kill your dog too. By the way, that is the worst Australian accent I've ever heard. Visit Australia. It's a tough contest. Anyway, naturally, Friendly Jordies. Oh, hold on. Naturally, Friendly Jordies has been covering the fallout of this from his YouTube channel, and I want you to listen to this for just a minute.
For legal reasons, I have to keep this video as straight-laced as I possibly can. My name is Jordan Shanks, and I'm being sued by John Barilaro, the Deputy Premier of New South Wales. Up until recently, I've treated this legal problem with the levity it deserves, but in all honesty, every move I've made, no matter how ridiculous it appeared, has been both legal and considered. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the Deputy Premier, who has impulsively, maliciously escalated the situation at every turn, and in doing so, out-clowned the clown. I understood that the usual procedure for silencing dissent in a Western democracy is to outspend your opponent, legally or electorally. What I did not realise is that defence is quite literally paper thin. Australia does have its own secret police, and they get sent in very quickly, particularly when the skin is as thin as said paper. On the 4th of June, plainclothed armed officers stormed into my employee's home, violently assaulted his family, nearly killed his dog, pinned him to the ground, handcuffed him, and dragged him into an unmarked police car. If you're wondering if I've accidentally mixed up a story from Pinochet's Chile with a standard arrest in Australia, I did not. That's what his father thought.
Yeah, that happened. Friendly Jordies' producer was charged with stalking the New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro, and he was arrested. And I'm just going to read out some of this. A producer of YouTube comedian Friendly Jordies has been arrested for allegedly stalking and intimidating New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro. Christo Lanker, 21, who works for Jordan Shanks, also known as Friendly Jordies, was arrested in his Dulwich home on June 4th. The arrest comes after the Deputy Premier launched legal action against Mr. Shanks over what his legal team have labeled a series of, quote, vile and racist videos accusing Mr. Barilaro of corruption. And this is not a joke. Making fun of somebody for being Italian is now vile and racist. I thought they were the one group we could always be racist against, but no, now apparently even that is being taken from us. It's Italian X, by the way. Mr. Lanker was charged with 2 counts of stalking and intimidation with intent to cause fear of physical and mental harm. The New South Wales police said the first of the alleged offences occurred on April 19th at Macquarie University, where Mr. Barilaro was speaking. The second event occurred on Sydney on June 4th, the same day Mr. Lanker was arrested. Xenophon Davis, lawyers acting for Mr. Shank's team, disputed the New South Wales police version of events, labeling the arrest of Mr. Lanker highly alarming. We are highly disturbed by misinformation the police appear to have acted upon, the firm's partner Mark Davis said in a statement. We have the video of the interaction with the Deputy Premier, and it does not appear to accord with the police facts. Mr. Davis told the ABC that Mr. Lanker had asked Mr. Barilara legitimate journalistic questions and was outraged they were arrested for what he described as trivial actions. Mr. Davis said defending the charges against Mr. Lanker was putting pressure on Mr. Shank's ability to fight the defamation allegations against him. The comedian, his lawyer said, could face bankruptcy for Mr. Barilara's lawsuit. Listen. When you're at a point now, Barilara, by the way, the deputy premier we're talking about, is a governor adhering to the Liberal Party in Australia, which is actually their Conservative Party. Mr. Barilara here has engaged in the time-honored behavior of authoritarians in acting on this now. So not only do we have a completely baseless lawsuit essentially designed to intimidate and bankrupt Friendly Jordies, we also now have police violence being used baselessly against his cohorts in an effort to silence them and disrupt their efforts to fight the defamation lawsuit. This is legitimately terrifying. I understand, by the way, that this seems abstract. Since we're talking about Australia, I might as well be talking about like the Dementors and what are the wizard police called? What did Harry Potter become at the end? What was the Auroras? Yeah, the Auroras and the Dementors, right? Yeah, I might as well be. But let me like imagine we're talking here, and I'm being serious. This is literally the equivalent of what we're talking about here. Imagine if I made a series of videos making fun of an American politician who then subsequently sued me for defamation, a legal claim which would take tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight back against in court, and would restrict my activities legally for quite some time. And then shortly afterwards, one of my editors had their house barged into and arrested on trumped-up charges before being carried away in an unmarked van. Like, can you understand how terrifying this is? Can you understand how destructive this is to democracy? Friendly Jordies wasn't just targeted because he's a comedian who made fun of this guy, by the way. He's being targeted because he actually engages in a fair amount of investigative journalism, exposing the corruption of, among other people, Barilaro, the deputy who is coming after him now. This is plain and simple attack on democracy. And I don't know if Australians have a democracy. I'm not sure if it's a monarchy over there. I don't know if it's feudal. I legitimately don't know what's happening over there. But I do like democracy, and I do like freedom of speech, and I do like, well, I do like the ability to be a YouTuber and not be legally menaced by the elected representatives who lord over you. So, to put all this into summary, I'm not entirely sure where Friendly Jordies stands politically. I legitimately don't know. I wish I could speak positively to some sort of broader set of opinions. The fact that Friendly Jordies used Chile's Pinochet regime as an example of authoritarianism rather than, say, Stalin suggests to me that he might be rather left-wing. I really couldn't say. All I know is that what's happening to him is absolutely terrifying, and that I sincerely hope that whatever he's going through right now, it works out. I hope that not only is he able to fight off that lawsuit, and not only is his producer able to fight off those criminal charges, I also hope that John Barilaro is able to, I suppose, finally embrace his ethnic identity and fly either over to Jersey or back to Italy and to resume his, God-given missive of, what do? You roll out the spaghetti like this? Yeah, like that. You do the little spaghetti wiggle, Yeah, the little Italian hand spaghetti wiggle. It's actually a date in Italy. You know what they do? It's a big ball. They have like machines for this. It's a big ball of dough, okay? And the most talented spaghetti wigglers, they take the ball of dough, they wiggle it, and they strand it out. They like funnel it out into a little strand, and it goes through like 2 broilers that cook it on the way over, and then like the person you're dating, they like eat it on the other hand, and you're literally just like you're like drip feeding them a single line of spaghetti, You ever done that? They've never done that. They've never done this. They've never had a cute Italian beau to spend time with. Oh, just sad. Nice. All right. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Is Peru the last segment? I'll make it the last segment if you keep fucking bothering me about it. Holy shit. None of you guys even care about Peru. You just want me to do it because you keep seeing it in the stream titles. I'm on to your shit. Oh god. Wow, my throat, every morning now my throat. It's the coffee. I put cinnamon on my coffee. It fucking clogs up my throat. Whew. Who wants Joe Rogan? Who wants Joe Rogan? They seem to want Joe Rogan. Don't autoplay when I full screen the video. It's not time yet to autoplay. You know who we haven't talked about in a little while? We haven't talked about Joe Rogan. He's one of these two, I think. And I saw this title while scrolling through his videos, accepting gender differences. This is one of my favorite topics to go over, okay? Because I feel like when people, not even on the right, but when people who aren't like really progressive, when they talk about this, they always slip in the funniest conclusions alongside a bunch of conclusions that everyone agrees with, you know? Like basically what'll happen is they'll be like, and what lefties can't understand is that like with your man and women, like they tend to be different levels of physical strength. And then the other guest will be like, yeah, lefties just don't acknowledge that. They think that all men and women are equally strong. And then the first guy will be like, yeah, and lefties, they don't seem to realize that like there are physical differences between men and women. And then the other person's like, yeah, lefties don't understand that. They think there's just one sex or something. And then the third one will come back, and then the first person will be like, yeah, and lefties, they just don't get that, like, women have smaller brains, and it means they have worse spatial reasoning. So the best way for them to focus on tasks in front of them is for them to wear horse blinders, like those things that you put on the side of your head so that you don't get distracted by your peripheral vision. That's just something that women like, you know? And then the guest will be like, yeah, lefties just don't understand. So I love the discourse on this because I feel like we oscillate so rapidly between like sane and insane talking points. But let's go 6 minutes. How much can we fit in here?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
It's a strange time when it comes to the.
Hey, look, Vosh, poison the well. Whoa! Hold on. See, we've recently learned some terms we don't know the definitions of. Poisoning the well is not me saying this is a thing that tends to happen, and I'm curious to see if it happens here. Maybe it won't happen here. I don't pre-watch videos before going over them on stream, you know? Actually commenting at all on anything anybody does is poisoning the well. Here, let's roll it.
The reality of the differences between genders. It's a very strange time because it doesn't like no one's ever said like men are better than women or women are better than men. We're just.
Hold on. I have heard some people say at least one of those things. I have heard people say that men are better. Well, hold on. Usually when people say men are better than women, they do it the same way that like racist people will describe race realism. Have you ever heard like the way like some race realists will talk about how all races are different but not better or worse, you know? They'll be like, oh, I don't believe that white people are better. We all have our own like goals and skills. I think that white people are better at mathematics, engineering, civilization building, higher reasoning, logic, forming relationships. And I think that black people are better at like, I think they can jump higher? Yeah. So we're all just different, you know? But we're not like better or worse. It's such an incredibly cowardly argument. Like they know, you know, they're inferring like it's like meaningful improvement there, but they're not saying it because it's easier to attack them that way. The people do the same thing with men and women too. Like, oh yeah, men and women are different. Did you see the TPUSA conference that I drunkenly covered with Shoe on Head? Where Charlie Kirk went up there and he's like, men and women are different, you know, not better or worse, but different. And that's why us men, we're better at this and that. That's why we're in charge of everything in society. And women, I don't know, they could, you're elementary school teachers. Like, yeah, empathy, like stuff like, it's like, all right, okay. Anyway, let's roll, Joe Rogan.
Different things, and transgender people are different as well. We're all just different. We should be accepting of each other and loving of each other and give each other equal rights and laws and respect. But when it comes to athletics, there's a reason why men don't compete against women. And I had this bizarre conversation with this guy once who has this TV show where he kind of debunks things. But when I got him alone to talk about...
This is Adam Ruins Everything. He's referring to Adam Conover? Conover, right? Conover.
These things, like without a team of writers, when you leave someone to just their opinions, and he had these sort of very progressive talking points that he would kind of blurt out, but then when I started challenging him on these and going deep, you realize like he didn't even really think about this. He just...
So I do think, if I remember correctly, that Adam's performance on Joe Rogan wasn't amazing. I can't attest to Adam's personal beliefs, only the stuff produced in his show, but the nuances of the whole like trans women in women's sports thing are fairly scientific and fairly involved. And yeah, I think Adam said he wasn't ready for that topic or something, but the problem is people on the right, can I include Joe on this issue, he's with the right, are so horny to talk about trans women in women's sports. They're so horny to talk about it, like all the time. That's all they want to talk about at all. Like, America could be like sinking into the ocean from climate change, like the sea levels rising, and we'll all be like crowded together on like New Mexico or whichever state has the highest average elevation, and like we'll be talking about like, okay, so like how do we distribute blankets in the war shelters? And then like a conservative will walk up to me and they'll be like, so first of all, our debate from 42 years ago, not finished. So trans women aren't like, they're so obsessed, with talking about it. And I think the reason why is because it's a very like unintuitive position, It's a really, really unintuitive position. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that sports are inherently unfair because you're always going to be fighting against your genetic limits, even within your own sex, Like Michael Phelps and I are both men, but Michael Phelps is like half fish genetically, and I'm not. I could train every day of my life for the rest of my life. I could have trained every day since I was 6 years old, and I would be a fraction of what Michael Phelps can be in the water. And the reason for that is because there is a lot of genetic variance within people. So the question is the average genetic skill variance between men and women great enough that they should be separated into separate like brackets for most contact sports? And the answer for that, to me, in almost every case is probably yeah, because if you integrated them, men would always be on top in every category, and there would never be a woman's gold medalist, like for any physical sport that involved contact or that involved like strength-based activities, because just generally speaking, men are better at that sort of thing. That's not like a hard statement on like one sex being better than the other, because let's be real, physical strength is worthless in modern society, okay? With automation growing more and more prominent, the extent to which society relies on people being physically strong is decreasing massively. If we're talking about what's useful to society, we're mostly talking about long-term thinking, critical thinking, multitasking, and social organization. Those are the skills that like really, really drive the modern day world, Not totally irrelevant. Like we have construction workers and stuff, but there will always be people who can do construction work, The world is mostly driven forward by social skills and critical thinking these days. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling about this, but the point that I'm trying to get at here is that it's a complicated subject and there aren't really any hard or easy answers. But the truth is, and a lot of people on the right won't accept this, the truth is that if a trans woman has transitioned medically for a certain length of time, their body does undergo very significant physiological changes that do make them inferior to, in athletic activities to what they would have been before their transition. Everything from like muscle strength and density to like their bones to their like energy levels, all of it gets affected by the process of transitioning. And if any of you have ever like seen a trans woman in real life, was this a person who could like choke slam you to the ground? Generally not. Usually they're, with all respect, usually they're quite weak physically. No hate. It's just been my experience. Yes, I'm sure some of you would like that. And there are very strong trans women, of course. There are some extraordinarily strong trans women. But there are changes that are made. I just wish people would have this conversation in good faith rather than acting like it's literally just like guys lying about being women to do sports against women. Because that doesn't seem to be a problem, like, anywhere, you know? The real question is the amount the transitioning affects trans women's physiology sufficient for them to be fairly placed in women's athletic brackets? And that's a way more complicated issue. So, yeah, okay, I'm totally rambling here. It's just
wanted to appear that he was progressive, which I am. I am a progressive person. I know I look like a meathead, but I'm very progressive.
Yeah.
I just look at reality, though. I grew up with martial arts and with fighting, and I know there's a fucking radical difference between males and females. It's
again, this is the thing. This is the ignoring reality that bothers me a little bit. The question is not, are men and women on average different levels of strength? I'm not even commenting on the final question here. I'm just saying the framing here is just factually not correct. The framing here should be, is the transition sufficient? Not, are men and women different? We know men and women are different. We know why there are different brackets in sports.
It's radical. It's not small. It's not subtle. It's radical.
You mean in physical strength, or do you also
in
mean
physical
in
strength and
psychological...
violence and
Goodbye,
psychology
Yes.
and attitude and in competitiveness? It's radical. There's a radical difference.
Radical.
And also, there's a spectrum. And some people are far more feminine than they are masculine, and they happen to have penises. And some
Yeah.
women are
That's true.
far more masculine than they are feminine, and they have to have vaginas.
That's
But
true.
it doesn't change the norm. It doesn't change, and it certainly doesn't
Well,
change.
That's true. It doesn't change the norm, but you don't always look to statistical averages when looking at an individual. Is my chat just like totally dead? Oh God, I think it is. Oh, hello. Oh, rebooting the server. All right. Don't worry, folks. He'll be back soon.
Change on the high ends of these spectrums.
That's
when you
right.
look at the high ends of these spectrums, so ultra female versus ultra male, you're looking at two radically different things.
Yeah. And I really like what you said about...
I'm looking at Twitch
getting
chat.
emotional again. I like what you said about just accepting and understanding each other.
Yes.
That, to me, you don't have to accept bad behavior. You don't have to accept hurtful behavior, but it does help us to really work hard to understand it. So,
Okay.
and those are the extremes of behavior. But you're right, we're different. And I think it's interesting and it's exciting the way that we're different, the ways that we're different. And testosterone really does help to explain so many of those differences. So understanding that hormone.
Oh, we're doing it again. Okay. You can make the argument that there are differences between men and women. Okay, wait. I need to go in a little bit of a rant for a second, if I can. Okay, this is something that's going to vary significantly depending on your life experiences, and I completely understand if like this isn't a ubiquitous like experience for everyone. But while I completely accept that like cis men and cis women are very, very different, like you have to recognize that the process of transitioning has a massive effect on the bodies and on the personalities of people who transition. Like trans women aren't just like you have like a marble block shaped like a guy and then you just sort of like shave it down into a feminine shape and then you have that. Like the differences, like if you talk with them sometimes, not just differences in like stuff like how soft their skin is, and apparently just having estrogen makes your skin softer, which seems kind of unfair, like for me, but whatever. And like body hair, but not just stuff like that, like personality changes, like your mood. It's a whole other puberty. Like it radically changes like everything. If I had chat here with me, they would agree with me. I don't have Twitch or YouTube chat integrated onto the OBS change, but there is such a huge change. And man, have you ever like seen how beefy trans men can get? Like you've seen it, right? I'm sure somewhere on Twitter, you've seen some lefty Twitter post, and it's like, this is a real man, and it's like they're a trans guy, and they look like a tank. You know what I mean? The differences here are significant. Very, very, very significant. In fact, I would go so far as to say that for a lot of people who transition, a lot of trans people, the physiological changes that they go through are so significant, assuming they're able to keep up with their hormone intake, that I think that, like, biologically, they're, like, way, way, way closer to their presented gender than they are towards the sex that they were, like, born into. I really do believe that. Like, because I've met, like, some trans guys, you know, like, and shook their hands in person, and these are, like, big, like, veiny, like, hairy armed, like, square jaw, furrowed brow, like, beard, like muscles and veins, and, like, significantly more masculine than I am, you know? That's not just an aesthetic change. There have to be a lot of, like, underlying changes to how their body works for that to even be possible for a person assigned female at birth, and vice versa for trans women. So, again, I'm not making any hard prescriptive statements here. It just frustrates me when people try to boil down, like, the whole trans thing to, like, well, men and women are different. Well, we know men and women are different, but there's a lot of complexity to this stuff, you know?
Helps us understand each other. And it helped me, even though I have been teaching about this stuff for ages, writing the book and especially reading about the transgender experiences helped me to have sort of this epiphany. So you can see how emotional I am, right? I'm like ultra emotional. Mm-hmm. My husband is a British philosopher, and he is not. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't really express a huge range of emotion. He's a wonderful guy, and I love him. But I've always kind of picked on him and thought there was something wrong with him for not being more emotional, not being able to have these long conversations about emotions. And
this might be more to do with him being British than him being a guy, by the way.
And psychology and what happened in his childhood to make him like that. And I have a temper. He doesn't have a temper. I cry during lecture and cry at home and, can barely control that. My epiphany was, I'm not better than he is because I'm so in touch with my emotions. I have issues. Like, he probably has issues too, but he doesn't have to come to be closer to me in my way of being in the world. I need to work on accepting who he is. He's an awesome guy. And I was always trying to get him to be more like me. And I think women really want men, if they're in heterosexual relationships, to be more like them emotionally. But I had this epiphany, like, no, it's working out. And our marriage would be better if I just shut up about some of getting him to be more emotional all the time.
All right, this feels like more of a therapy session. I don't necessarily know how to comment on it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to to anyone's life or experiences here. Also, I think YouTube is telling me that they don't like me looking at this Joe Rogan clip. I'm a little bit concerned about that. They've told me that they don't like me looking at it. I wonder if not having chat on screen decreases the visual dissimilarity, and that makes it more likely for YouTube to throw up the red flag at you. Wait. Oh, I hate streaming on YouTube sometimes. I feel like we got the gist of this though, right? Like, the funny thing is what she's describing right now, like being more emotional, like being more of a woman thing. It's, I don't know, trans women cry a lot too, right? Like, in my experience, they also tend to be pretty emotional. It is a hormonal thing, right? It's just, I don't know what this conversation has to do with trans people. The conversation on, like, there are differences between men and women is not the same conversation as, like, to what extent does gender transition influence your ability to participate in sports of the opposite birth sex, I guess. Wacky stuff, that. And for anyone who's wondering what my actual opinions and positions are in this, I've read so much literature on this. It seems like, in most cases, if you're assigned male at birth, but you're a trans woman and you transition, and it's been a few years since you transition, it seems to be that there is a small but significant average difference in your physical ability that slightly elevates you, on average, above cis women assuming that you transitioned after your male puberty because you benefited from the androgen sensitivity that you experienced while undergoing a male puberty, something that cis women would have never had the chance to experience. It's a small difference, and it only functions out on averages, so there are exceptions in both directions. Most of the, like, sometimes you'll see photos of, like, trans women competing next to cis women in, like, high school, and the trans women are, like, way more muscular. That's usually because they haven't had much time to transition. Obviously, that has an effect on their physiology and the extent to which their physiology, with all due respect, degrades from transition, because it's a lot harder to keep muscle up when you're taking estrogen shots, I bet. Now, one thing that I have not seen is any evidence at all that trans women outperform cis women on average if the trans women took puberty blockers before they experienced a male puberty. So if it was like an 11-year-old trans girl or like gendered undecided person, and they took hormone blockers for a time, and then later they transitioned and they never experienced male puberty, that person I don't think would have any meaningful average advantages, except for maybe a slightly different bone structure, which may be beneficial, but I think it's fairly marginal at that point. That's my understanding from what I've read, but there's so much literature out in it, and it's such like a new point of concern, and it's tough to say. It is. Hello. Oh, thank God. YouTube stopped telling me that it was detecting copyright audio. Oh, thank the Lord. They were gonna knock the stream out just right then and there, weren't they? Oh yeah, they were. They were horny for it too. Whew. Doesn't this mean that high school trans people shouldn't compete? Exactly what these laws target? Well, no, because there could be potentially in the future people who transition like beforehand. Also, like, here's the issue, okay? There should not be any federal laws on this. Can you give me an example of any federal laws which have dictated regulations for participation in high school athletics? Probably not, right? Well, have there been? Not ones that I can think of. Usually there's just like equal participation laws, but not like this is an unfair. Yeah, I don't think that's typical. The thing is the Title IX law. Yeah, but isn't that about fair participation? Not like, hold on. Title IX athletic laws. I'm pretty sure that the language of that law, yeah, hold on. Title IX, no person in the U.S. shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Yeah, no, this is not the same, okay? Saying that if you're receiving federal funding, you can't, like, be sexist and discriminate against people is not the same as a federal law putting specific limitations on which types of women get to participate in women's sports. That is absolutely not something that the federal government generally dictates. Yeah, so there is federal involvement in sports, which was your point. No, I didn't say federal involvement in sports, or if I did, I misspoke. Federal involvement in, like, barring certain types of athletic competition. Did I just say federal law that affected high school? People in Twitch chat are about to get hardcore banned if I rewind the VOD by a couple seconds and find out that they're wrong. Hold on. Find out that they're wrong. Hold on. Program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Probably not, right? Well, for it too. Whew. Doesn't this mean that high school trans people shouldn't compete? Exactly what these laws target? Well, no, because there could be potentially in the future people who transition like beforehand. Also, like, here's the issue, okay? There should not be any federal laws on this. Can you give me an example of any federal laws which have dictated regulations for participation in high school athletics? Nah, I did not just say federal involvement, okay? The federal involvement you're referring to is equal protection clauses. I am clearly talking about restricting people from participating in their sports of their like gender, you know? There are no federal laws saying which type of women. It wasn't clear. Yeah, well, then I clarify, but there are people insisting I'm saying things that I'm not saying things. So, you know. Yeah, no, fuck you. Fucking gaslighting pieces of shit. Man, every time I look at Twitch and YouTube chat, there are just so many people to ban. It's amazing. Wrong. Hold on. There we go. Okay, we're caught up now. Nice. All right, we're back. The reason those laws don't already exist is because everyone is fine with segregating people by sex, so there hasn't been a need for them. Yeah, but that's not really an answer to what I was saying. Do you understand the categorical difference between a federal law passed 50 years ago saying, "Hey, don't if you're getting federal funding, you shouldn't discriminate against people based on sex," and then a federal law saying, "All right, so women's sports, trans women shouldn't be allowed to participate with cis women." There are local jurisdictions like high schools that will allow men and women, cis men and women, to participate against one another, like just based on like the rules of that high school. Like there's so much variance in that. A federal law saying which types of women can compete with other women is entirely unprecedented and extremely weird, you know? Um yeah. All right. We do it? Are we done being stun locked? We good? The site will be up eventually. Well, anyway, the proper solution to this, of course, is to fund and promote the responsible prescription of hormone blockers, because if you do that, then you kind of circumnavigate the whole problem, you know? Yeah, we got to get site up. I can't read donations otherwise. You said no arguing with Chatvosh. Hey, it's only been like 5 minutes. We're good. We're good. Um, itchy eyeball. Anyway, it sounds to me like we've got more content to cover. Oh man, we're just rolling through it. Besides, not having chat next to me makes me more productive, you know? I like having you guys. I like being able to point to you. It's very important to me. Hassan trying to take you out? What is Hassan doing? The left side of the screen is so empty it's odd. Yes, compositionally, this doesn't make very much sense without chat being next to me, but we'll all just have to hunker down until the site works properly. Put us up on screen? I don't wanna. I don't wanna. Would it still be weird if the law designated between trans women who didn't go through puberty and those who transitioned after puberty? Yeah, it would. Why is the federal government passing laws on the minutia of high school athletic participation? That's like that is really, really strange, you know? That is a really weird thing to do. That's not like normal. That's not normal. Why? Why not just like have the high schools deal with it? Where's the harm? Like, why would the federal government doesn't generally engage in this type of behavior, you know? The federal government only legislates stuff like this when it comes to protecting equality, but that's not the issue here because these laws are definitionally anti-equality. It said, you know, women's sports and men's sports, but legally, you know, trans women can change their gender. So, okay, fine, we'll move the camera. Jesus. I trimmed my beard, by the way. The fact that nobody's making fun of me for how short I trimmed it is kind of good news. A little bit more. There, how about that? They're already trying to do genital inspections, which is assault. Yeah. The thing that the thing is, like, you have to remember that, like, Republican participation in any kind of trans discourse is incredibly disingenuous because they don't believe any of the shit they actually claim to believe. The vast majority of people on the right, okay, who like claim to be disgusted by trans people are the same people like jerking off to fucking trans porn on Pornhub, okay? They are same with every other type of like socially reactionary behavior. They are incredibly disingenuous when it comes to the ways in which they approach these issues. Hopefully that's not affecting high school policy, but knowing conservatives, it probably is. The website's so close to being back up. Well, doesn't matter to me. We got to keep going, folks. Much as I love chat being next to me. Oh, we're just looking at Twitch chat now, I guess. Folks, I've got good news. It's been a long, hard fight, but we finally did it. Racism is over. That's right. Joe Biden has done it. He has signed into law the formation
so we can fulfill the promise of America for all people, all of our people.
Of a new federal holiday.
It's not going to be fulfilled so long as the sacred right to vote remains under attack.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
We see this assault from restrictive laws, threats of intimidation, voter purges, and more. An assault that offends the very democracy, our very democracy. We can't rest till the promise of equality is fulfilled for every one of us in every corner of this nation. That, to me, is the meaning of Juneteenth. That's what it's about. So let's make this very Juneteenth, tomorrow, the first that our nation will celebrate all together as one nation. A Juneteenth.
Man, he really does sound super tired. I can't listen to it. Okay, anyway, basically, federal holiday. First federal holiday we've had since, like, MLK Day, I think. What you need to know. Here, we'll replace his rambling, senile speech with some bullet points. President Biden signed a bill to establish Juneteenth as a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. The legislation gained momentum in the wake of the police killing of George Floyd last year, but Congress has made little progress on federal police reform. A bill named for Floyd remains stalled following Republican opposition. Big surprise there. At the same time, multiple states have moved to ban teaching critical race theory in schools. Quick reminder, by the way, to everyone terrified of critical race theory. If you've ever woken up in the hot sweat, heaving a little bit in your sleep, a little bit of pee trickling out of your urethra, please do remember this fun fact. Nobody's getting taught critical race theory in school. Nobody. It's a collegiate level theory. It's taught to college students in law school, sociology, political theory, and sometimes criminal justice studies. That's pretty much it. It's not getting taught to kids. It's not getting taught to kids in K through 12. It's just not. Of course, conservatives will argue that essentially any acknowledgement of America's racist past or any acknowledgement of the existence of racism is critical race theory. Republicans will see a kindergarten teacher saying racism is bad, so we shouldn't do it. And they'd call that critical race theory. So maybe by their definition, critical race theory exists at every level of society, but okay, if you want to call it that. Anyway, there's also a raft of new state laws aimed at restricting voting rights, the Republicans trotting out their time-honored strategy for winning. Anyway, June 19th is now officially Juneteenth National Independence Day. That's tomorrow. A U.S. federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. I like this first bullet point, by the way. Here's what you need to know. The day's name is a blending of the words June and 19th. Get it? Juneteenth? Hopefully you get it. Hopefully you... Yeah. I know, it's... let that one slip by. Ooh. Yeah, it says down here, with Biden's signature, Juneteenth is the first holiday to be approved since Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which was established in 1983. And that's pretty nice. And the rest of the stuff here, I feel like I'll fill in on my own, basically. So, who here is familiar with the words of esteemed civil rights activist Malcolm X on subjects such as these? The white man will try to appease us with symbolic victories, that kind of thing. Obviously, making Juneteenth a national holiday does not do anything to solve racism. It doesn't fix anything. And to Biden's credit, as he signed in the law, he did acknowledge that. He did say, we're being attacked, our voting rights are under attack, that sort of thing. So Biden did acknowledge that this was not this didn't fix the problem. That being said, the attempt to pass through Juneteenth being a national holiday, it actually got bipartisan support. especially in the House. Republicans like really, really sailed it on through. I think how many Republicans didn't vote yes on it in the House? It was like wasn't it like 20 or something? 15? 14? Yeah, like nothing. You'd think, and I think what Republicans want from this, and probably some of the more reactionary Democrats, is they're hoping it'll shut black people up. Like realistically, because now in the future, what they're going to say, some black guy gets shot by the cops or whatever, and black people are going to protest, and we're going to protest with them, and then like they're going to say, you got a holiday, you got a national holiday, and you're still complaining. I guarantee you're going to say that. You're going to see that argument over and over and over and over again. You're going to see it over and over and over again for years. You're going to see it every single time this happens until you die. On the plus side, we have a new federal holiday. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm a YouTuber, but I'm sure you all will appreciate the extra day off or the 3-day weekend or however it pans out, depending on the year. But anyway, yeah. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the existence of this holiday. It should be a holiday. It deserves to be a holiday. Just remember that a symbolic victory really is only symbolic, and that it doesn't extend much beyond that unless it's substantiated with progressive policy. Now, credit where credit's due. Biden did acknowledge this, so I'm not coming after him on this too hard. I know he can't just snap slavery and racism and everything away, like the whole legacy of racism in this country. But there will be people who will try to use it like that, as a bludgeon, a symbolic victory that they'll use to tell you you've had enough. So do not be fooled. There's one last person, by the way, one particularly goofy goober who I think deserves a little bit of attention on this fine day. We save it for the goofiest of goobers, okay? Just talked about this man 2 days ago. Charlie Kirk, saw him at the TPUSA Women's Conference, where he said that women should be in the kitchen. Basically, he said it in more words than that, but here's a tweet from 1 year ago. Senate Republicans are introducing legislation to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Barack Obama and Joe Biden were in the White House for 8 years. Why didn't they ever do it? That's 1 year ago. And now here's today. Lincoln knew America's founding was July 4th, 1776. He knew that was the day our amazing nation made a step from ideal to reality. Juneteenth is an affront to the unity of July 4th. We now have 2 summer holidays, and one of them is based on race. Shame on the GOP for supporting this. So, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I think this applies perfectly well to Charlie Kirk. Fascists do not believe in words, and they do not believe in principles, okay? To them, anything they say, any ideas they express, any language they use are just a transient and completely temporary expression of whatever is most convenient to them at the time. A year ago, Charlie Kirk was not only pro-Juneteenth, but shaming Obama and Joe Biden for not supporting Juneteenth back during their term. And now that Joe Biden is the one signing it into law, it's just exactly the opposite. Just nothing has changed. There's been no change in what Juneteenth means or represents. It's just he was for it before, and now he's against it. And by the way, this tweet that he made a year ago was right after the murder of George Floyd. Remember? George Floyd was murdered a year ago, just a couple of weeks ago. And this was exactly 1 year ago, this tweet from Charlie Kirk. So this isn't just BLM changed his mind. This is post George Floyd's murder, Charlie Kirk supporting Juneteenth when Trump is in office, and then just opposing it when Biden's in office. They do not actually believe anything. And remember, they don't think you believe anything either, that all of your positions and principles are just an ever-shifting sandcastle of arguments that you can knock down and build back up and knock down again, and whatever looks best at the time. And nobody would accuse you of being a hypocrite for building 2 sandcastles that look different from each other. Arguments aren't supposed to have any coherence or permanence. You just build whatever looks best at the time. That's Charlie Kirk for you. He's not the only one like that, but that was a particularly ostentatious example of that sort of behavior. Nice. That was good. I feel like I'm on a roll. I'm sad the chat can't be here with me. Well, just one moment. We had an appointment later today, but to be perfectly honest, just a second. I'm wondering if I can push this back by one day. If the website's having issues, probably best to give Y Nervosa time to address it. We're doing Peru, don't worry. Let me talk really quickly with my contact. Woo! There you go. Can you guys hear the click-a-clack of the mechanical keyboard? No, you cannot. Oh, it's so nice though. I mean, all right, very slightly. Okay, yeah. Let me make sure that they're fine to reschedule. Just a second. I'm getting better at using it, by the way. I was doing like a typo a second, more than one typo a second for a while doing emails, and I had to keep deleting and backing up. Because this keyboard, I'm used to laptop keyboards, which are very, they're very flat and low to the ground. But of course, a mechanical keyboard has raised keys. Sorry, the chord's kind of the full stroke keyboard. Like the keys are raised substantially from the long time that I'm waiting for this response from the person is concerning me, but that's okay. But I eagerly await. What happened after Hascord flooded your Discord? Nothing much. My Discord is heavily moderated, and there are like systems to prevent people from just barging in, so it is well accommodated for raids. Very happy with the Discord. Maybe a little over moderated, but I think that's probably preferable to the alternative now. Oh, wait, hold on. Do I have followers only chat? Oh, I do have followers only chat on. I'm sorry. Here, hold on. I'll set it to 0 minutes. I didn't mean to discriminate against the people from my website. There, now it's followers only 0 minutes. There we go. Greetings from a conservative looking to expand mind and break from bubbles. Hey there, Jambo Kong. I don't normally look at Twitch chat. We're looking at it right now because my website's doing a little dab on me. But howdy, howdy. Were you the person who asked me earlier why I thought Charlie Kirk was a fascist? Was that you? I remember it from being a light blue name. I just didn't get into it because I was at the end of the segment. Yes, you were. The answer put simply, why is everyone saying yes? You all remember? The answer put simply is that many of Charlie Kirk's arguments basically boiled down, ooh, it's complicated. The basic gist of it is that when you take a look at the path that Charlie Kirk's arguments head towards, they're not really like neocon paths, and they're not really like socially progressive, economically conservative paths, and they're not really libertarian paths. I mean, he advocates for like social regressivism, women knowing their place, men knowing their place, national strength, protectionism, close our borders, and the extent to which he promotes the broader narrative of like, finally we're throwing off the shell of the neoconservatives. We're the populist right. We're going to rise up and make this country what it's truly supposed to be, while advocating for like a heavily nationalist, like ethnically, kind of ethnically homogenous, culturally a homogenous nation. It all pulls in the same direction, basically. The thing is with Charlie Kirk, though, is that I legitimately don't believe he actually believes anything, so he doesn't have as consistent a set of... He'll shift between different positions, like, completely effortlessly. So it's actually really, 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 really hard to just hold him down to a specific set of beliefs. I feel like you could... I talked about Shoe on Head with this when... I talked about Shoe on Head with this. Vosh, come on, these are all conservative talking points. Well, fascists are conservative. Yeah, it's really just a matter of the way in which you present those things. He asked to give you an example. An example of like... Well, I think the easiest direct example that you could probably give is like support of Trump, considering the fact that Trump is like an anti-free speech, insurrectionary, cultivating, like anti-democracy, free press attacking autocrat who did everything in his power to destabilize democracy on his way out and continues to do so from the other side, you know? But Charlie Kirk, like specifically with the things that Charlie Kirk does, I was talking about this with Shoe on Head while riffing on the TPUSA, like women's conference the other day. It's that he will shift so rapidly between the positions that he'll advocate for. For example, sometimes Charlie Kirk will act like he's some kind of like free market advocating conservative, you know, who's just here to promote like libertarian values. And sometimes he'll really double down on like all the social regressivism and like fuck big corporations, we need to protect the nation type stuff. It's really hard to hold him like specifically. For better or worse, shifting like new information and changes his mind or gets more rank and file. It's not that he changes his mind with new information. It's more that it's just whatever's most convenient at the time, because he'll switch like back and forth multiple times, you know? I haven't actually ever done a big like single debunk or addressal of what Charlie Kirk has to say. Maybe that'd be nice to do in the future, you know? Yeah, his most consistent belief is getting more power. Conservatives are not fash by definition. What separates them is a glorified mythological past. What do you think? Didn't Trump literally run on Make America Great Again? Aren't conservatives right now literally talking about like the 1776 project and like pushing the idea that the critical race theorists are muddling up our history by suggesting America was founded in racism when in reality America was... Wait, look, in this Charlie Kirk tweet, he describes America's founding as a step from ideal to reality. Like, this is already a mythologized past, you know? Conservatives constantly talk about a mythologized past. They constantly allude to, like, the glory of our nation, which is a pretty common talking point for the far right, you know? There can be conservative fascists and liberal fascists, at least, IMO. Well, I think that, fascism is a rejection of liberalism, so I don't know if there can be a liberal fascist. If you mean there can be, like, liberal authoritarians, then I think I'd agree. Do I have a video where I just say, like, what is fascism? I feel like I'm going to do this forever. Yeah, authoritarian. There are definitely, like, liberal authoritarians, for sure. That's a pretty common one. No, liberal authoritarians are definitely a thing. There have been plenty of liberal authoritarians around the world. America props them up. I'm using red switches, Rudito. You do the 12 rules thing several times? Yeah. Yes, I've seen Demon Slayer. Trumpism is more reactionary than conservative. So, okay, hold on. So, reactionary and progressive are two equal and opposite positions. Progressive is more equality and reactionary is more hierarchy. Conservative is usually wrapped up in reactionary, but it's a broader term that can describe a wide variety of positions excuse me, that are regressive in nature, most of which are reactionary, but not necessarily all of them. For example, you can make the argument that there are some progressive conservative positions. So a progressive conservative position might be that people should live in multi-generational households. That's a conservative position because it's like hearkening to a past idea of like what like family values and stuff like that. But it's arguably a progressive position as well because you could ascribe a lot of like negative social utility to our highly atomized single generational housing in the modern world. Conservative and reactionary almost always overlap, but like sometimes I think there are edge cases where something can be one but not the other. There are also reactionary positions that aren't necessarily conservative. What would be a good example of that? I'm trying to think of a good. Oh, a reactionary position that isn't conservative. Easy. Anti-white racists. Yeah, that's an easy one. That's not really a conservative position in the United States. Conservatives are pretty much completely against that as a bloc, but it's reactionary. 100%. But the ways these terms are used shift around a lot. One of the biggest mistakes that people do is that they get locked into the idea that political beliefs and political advocacy can be divided into these neat labels that allow them to accurately segment human behavior. And once you know all the labels, you know everything that a person can be. Unfortunately, that is just not how things work. In reality, people are ideologically syncretic. They are confused. They are they shift, their positions shift based on ever-changing positions. There's a lot of stuff there that can make it really difficult to pin down a person's beliefs. And then you have people who will just lie about what they believe. Sometimes people will just lie about the things they care about, and that can make it really, really, really difficult. So, for example, Charlie Kirk claims to be an advocate for the free market, but he's also a big fan of protectionism, tariffs, and like challenging international globalism. The thing is, guys, remember, the free market is globalism. Left to their devices, corporations will engage in international trade to the greatest possible degree to maximize economic output, which will involve, the marginal utility that you get from doing this job in this country and this job in this country. And that's globalism. That's an economically globalist position. But that's the free market. So how can you be free market while also being an isolationist? The answer is you can't. Charlie Kirk will pretend to be pro-free market when arguing with socialists, but then when arguing with liberals, he will who are free market, he'll run back to the protectionist, like we need tariffs, we need to close the borders positions. A truly free market set of positions would be open borders, labor and capital can flow in and out of countries as freely as it would need to. Yeah, Jambo Kong. Well, if you want to be like a consistent part of the community when the website's working again, you should join that because that's definitely where I look more often. I have not looked at the female dating strategy subreddit. Don't you think calling all conservatives fascist is super unproductive? No, not all conservatives are fascist, but fascism is a fundamentally conservative position. And in America, the Republican Party is currently a fascist party, a party which is dedicated to fascist principles, the destruction of democracy, the rejection of empiricism and intellectualism, the adoption of anti-free speech and anti-liberal positions. The Republican Party is fascist. People who vote for the Republican Party support fascism in their actions, but I've talked to plenty of Republicans IRL. Most of my extended family lives in like Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. I've met plenty of Republicans IRL, and they are not like fascist ideologically. That's just not true, But I do believe the Republican Party is a fascist party. Does that make sense? The difference between what people believe and what people like do with their actions. You know what I mean? There were probably plenty of people who fought in like the with the Bolsheviks who were not like ideologically communist, but in their action, like they probably just wanted like grain. The peasants that Mao rounded up like all around the country, the millions and millions of Chinese peasants, I'm sure most of them just wanted to be rid of like imperialism, They weren't like communists like Mao or whatever. But but their actions contributed to a communist outcome. This is like your convo with charisma on command. I feel like a lot of people ascribe a lot of really negative intent to what I'm saying here, but I will not back off the position. These are positions that I refuse to back off of. Trump is a fascist. I refuse to back off of this. And the Republican Party is fascist along with them because they just completely stand behind him in his support, you know? The Republican Party is just locked in on supporting Trump and his fascist ideals, you know? Or fascist behavior. I don't know if he has any ideals. So, with all that being said, if you support the Republican Party, your actions are supporting fascism. It's just, the arguments are, what is fascism? And does supporting fascism make you a fascist? And those are like philosophical arguments more than anything else. What's your definition of fascism? That could help with this convo. I usually use Umberto Eco. Okay, let's go over the 14 points again. My favorite. Sometimes people make fun of me for using the 14 points, but honest to God, I have read so many definitions of fascism, and I really do think that this one is the best. So anyone who disagrees with me here, that's totally okay. But let's look at this really quick, okay? I just want your opinions on this, okay? So my belief is that fascism isn't really like a cohesive set of policy positions or like state behaviors. It's more a social trend, like a social virus that spreads from person to person, a set of activities and notions and frameworks that affect our behavior. That's a very sociological lens of analysis, and I'm a sociology major, so that's what I like. So here are the 14 points, and yeah, I guess we can just talk about it, okay? So I'm going to describe the ways in which that I think these relate to the modern Republican Party, okay? You don't find it unproductive to have such a hardline position on Trump being a fascist when your definition isn't universal? First of all, that logic would mean nobody could call anyone a fascist because that definition isn't universal to anyone. And two, that would mean nobody could call anyone any political point because political definitions aren't universal. The term liberal isn't universal. Like, can't call people a liberal then, you know? Anyway. So let's read this real quick, okay? We're gonna learn together. And hey, looks like the website's back. Look at that, huh? Let's get back in here, folks, huh? Come on. Okay, it's working for me on my browser. Let me see if I can get it to work on the OBS extension. And there we go. I think. Huh? Oh, we just had it. Hold on. Nah, it looks like it doesn't want to work for me. Yeah, it cuts off right there. Ah, well, here. It'll probably work in a minute or two. That's okay. You know what? I'm gonna continue looking at Twitch chat because that's where I was looking. Anyway, let's take a look at this, huh? So these are some general trends that Umberto Eco pushed for. Like he argued this was like indicative of fascism. Not that having any one of these trends be true makes you a fascist, just that these are things to look for. Remember, you know how you sometimes read those lists and it's like, are you depressive? Like, do you have depression? And it'll be like 20 points. And one of them will be like, you tend to sleep in late, you know? And another one will be like, you don't spend much time outside. And one of those points being true doesn't instantly make you depressed, but it's something to look out for, you know? So anyway, the cult of tradition. One has only to look at the syllabus of every fascist movement to find the major traditionalist thinkers. The Nazi gnosis was nourished by traditionalist, syncreticist, occult elements. So the cult of tradition, this is very, very easily ascribable to the Republican Party. The cult of tradition they tend to adhere to is more a cult of like Christian tradition than like pagan or occultist tradition. But yeah, the Republican Party adheres very, very strongly to the idea that there's some sort of like fundamental American identity, a fundamental like Christian white American identity that that they hearken to as an example of or a representation of like the true country, you know? That's definitely true. Number 2, the rejection of modernism. The Enlightenment, the age of reason, is seen as the beginning of modern depravity. In this sense, Urfascism can be defined as irrationalism. So this is definitely true. I have literally gone over a PragerU video talking about how the Enlightenment was bogus. Does anyone remember that? The Enlightenment video where Dennis Prager was literally like, actually, the things people enjoyed from the Enlightenment were the conservative thinkers, and then he ignored all of the Enlightenment philosophers who like built the modern. It's funny because America, our country, was built off of the ideas of liberal Enlightenment thinkers. But then PragerU goes ahead and praises all the people those liberal Enlightenment thinkers argued against. So, okay. The more mask-off fascists get, the more open they get with this. Eventually, you'll talk to people who will just openly describe themselves as like anti-Enlightenment, anti-liberal, and, you know, depending on how honest they are about that, it can vary significantly, but yeah. The cult of action for action's sake. Action being beautiful in itself, it must be taken before or without any previous reflection. Thinking is a form of emasculation. For me, I think this was really well demonstrated by the Trump election steal lie. That to me was like the big thing that indicated this, because the argument that was used, the thing that people pushed for, it was like, it wasn't just this is bad, it's happening, and you need to fight it. It was that we need to act right now to take our country back, and any discourse, any argument, any contention within the Republican ranks was treated as treason. The act of thinking about and reflecting upon the things that Trump said were often considered to be like a kind of dissonance or a kind of rejection of his principles. And then, of course, you have disagreement as treason, which I think is self-evidently the case. If you want to understand the difference between the Democrat and Republicans Party, their positions on disagreement, think about it this way, okay? The Democrat Party, Joe Manchin will interrupt what they do, and Joe Biden will still praise him. When Mike Pence went ahead and signed into law, ratified the Electoral College votes, which he was legally obligated to do, Trump supporters wanted to hang him from the neck until he was dead. So Joe Manchin willfully obstructing progressive policy, Democrats are okay with that, baby. Republicans see you following a lawful obligation that they don't like, it's over, you know? It's all over, baby. Fear of difference. The first appeal of a fascist or prematurely fascist movement is an appeal against the intruders. Thus, Urfascism is racist by definition. Yeah, look at the way they talk about BLM. Look at the way they talk about immigrants. The Republicans are terrified of difference. They're terrified of the outsider. They are obsessed with finding groups of people that they can describe as being an external threat and then fighting against them. Oftentimes, the external threat they describe are Americans themselves. Bosch, these are all descriptive of an ideology rather than actual policies or actions. Yes. Is fascism best defined by the ideology they project rather than the actual behaviors or actions a party does when in power? Well, when fascists actually take power, they usually just tend to be like racist authoritarians of some variety or another. But there are many types of authoritarianism. I think that fascism is much more interesting when thought of as a social force, the same way you could describe populism. Populism is not a policy. Populism isn't even an ideology. Populism is an aesthetic by which people push for a given set of policies or for a given ideology. And fascism, likewise, is just this tumultuous, boiling, heaving cauldron of social frustrations that leaders take advantage of and exploit in order to push forward a certain set of agendas, which are usually, by the way, autocratic, xenophobic, authoritarian, so on and so on. But I think that you find much more interesting discourse in an analysis of the social trends which precede the government, you know? Because if you want, all of these tendencies could be applied to Nazi Germany. That's totally, totally doable. But is that really when we need to draw the line? Like, how do you identify fascism? Well, here's Nazi Germany. Like, okay, sure. But I think you should be able to identify fascism even in politically irrelevant parties. You shouldn't have to wait for them to be in power to be able to start pointing out the tendencies. Fear of difference. Appeal to societal frustration. One of the most typical features of historical fascism was an appeal to a frustrated middle class, a class suffering from an economic crisis or feelings of political humiliation, and frightened by the pressure of lower social groups. And this right here, man, does that describe 2016? Oh my God. I agree with you, and the same could apply to communism. Jambo Kong, there are elements of this that can be applied to populist left movements, but many of these really can't be applied to like socialist movements in the US. Socialists do not venerate the cult of tradition, and they certainly do not reject modernism. Also, in socialist circles, one of the most like the highest forms of social cred that you can get is reading theory. Fascists do not read theory. Fascists don't read anything about what they're they don't care. No, I mean like waiting for it to become Nazi Germany. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh yes, you can ascribe like social analysis to to movements that aren't in power just yet. I'm just saying, like, while there are elements of populism that apply here, these ones aren't necessarily the case. Appeal to social frustration is something that socialists do all the time, though. This would be like a general populist tendency, though it's not so much frightened by pressure of lower social groups as it is frightened by the power of higher social groups, which I think is, well, better. Anyway, the obsession with a plot. Thus, at the root of the Eurofascist psychology, there is an obsession with a plot, possibly an international one the followers must feel besieged. This is non-stop 24/7 Republican conspiracism. Remember when Donald Trump was being interviewed by that Fox News lady and he said that he had heard rumors that there was some sort of Antifa hit squad that was flying around the country, and that like he saw people in like black uniforms boarding a plane one time, and like they were traveling all over the country, and he said, and the lady was like, "Can you elaborate on that?" And Trump said, "No." And that was the end of it, and it never came up again. There was this constant obsession, the BLM plot, the Marxist plot, the leftist plot, the critical race theory plot, the Frankfurter plot. There's always something. There's always some nefarious agent in the shadows, you know? Do you remember my conversation with Sargon, where I pointed out that his ideology was basically indistinguishable from the Jewish question? Because Sargon of Akkad believes that there's an elite group of like leftist academics who have infiltrated academia and society and corporations and are using their power to destroy white people by inviting like black and brown people into the country. And then I said, this is the same as the Jewish question. You're just not saying the academics are Jewish, and Nazis will say the academics are Jewish. And he wouldn't acknowledge the connection. Anyway, the enemy is both strong and weak. By a continuous shifting of rhetorical focus, the enemies are at the same time too strong and too weak. The easiest place to see this is also in the way Republicans will refer to America itself. Republicans will constantly shift between describing America and Western civilization as some kind of indomitable bulwark of strength, and like it's about to be destroyed, you know? Like BLM will destroy Western civilization. Drag Queen Story Hour will destroy Western civilization. Trans women participating in women's sports will destroy Western civilization. It's like, okay, wow. I didn't realize Western civilization was on the brink, you know? And then they'll talk about how it's actually Western civilization is the bastion of all light and goodness in the world. BLM is at one point in time, just a bunch of like angry criminal mobs, and at the other point in time, like an organized mob controlled by the Democratic Party that's going to destroy the world, you know? Antifa is a bunch of like soy-faced, pimply college kids, but it's also like an elite group of militant, far-left agitators that are going to kill all of you, you know? They constantly do this, back and forth and back and forth. Pacifism is trafficking with the enemy. For Ur-fascism, there is no struggle for life, but rather life is lived for struggle. So this one's a little bit different with the Republican Party. The Republican Party acts anti-interventionist. Trump acts anti-war, you know? That's like the current line. The interesting thing is, you'll actually find that line of logic in most like far-right groups in the US. Even neo-Nazi groups are anti-interventionist. The reason for this is because at this point, war is no longer the predominant means by which nation-states achieve power. And it seems like at this point, many far-right types consider war to be like a tool of the global elite. At this point, war no longer serves national interests. Now it serves international interests, you know? That it's now like this, like, because often they'll say like, oh, you want to go die for Israel. They'll think it's like a Jewish thing, or That kind of stuff, you know? So rhetorically, the Republican Party is kind of anti-war. They're very pro-violence, but they're anti-boots on the ground, but then they do it anyway. And this one's a little bit variable at the moment. However, the idea, this phrase, there is no struggle for life, but rather life is lived for struggle, is very, very endemic of the Republican attitude towards militarism. You know, what's that George Carlin quote? Republicans want alive fetuses to live so they can die as soldiers, or something like that. So it's a quote kind of like that. Their attitude, the idea that people live and are born and exist to struggle for the state, that is a very common attitude in the right in this country. Contempt for the weak. Elitism is a typical aspect of any reactionary ideology. Yup. Constantly and forever. Watch a Steven Crowder stream, for God's sake. 100%. All Republicans do this against the poor. They believe that this country is a meritocracy, or they pretend to believe. So if you're poor, that means you've failed in this country. That means you suck and that you deserve what you've been given. No matter how much your life is full of struggle and misery, you deserve it because you failed in a fair system. That's what they say. Of course, this isn't true, but and the more far right you go, the more this attitude is demonstrated towards other groups as well. The way some Republicans will talk about like trans people, for example, when they're not pretending to be civil, is just despicable. Everyone is educated to become a hero. In Ur-fascist ideology, heroism is the norm. This cult of heroism is strictly linked with the cult of death. Like I said, live fetuses to become dead soldiers. Machismo and weaponry. I don't think I even need to continue with that one. I'm just going to open with the title on this one. Selective populism. This one is very important. There is in our future a TV or internet populism in which the emotional response of a selected group of citizens can be presented and accepted as the voice of the people. Tucker Carlson to a T. Who is the voice of the people? What is the voice of the people here in America? It's the white working class. Whenever people like this, they say the white working class, the white working class. They never say the black or the brown working class. They say the white working class. And by the white working class, what they mean, of course, is the right-wing white working class. That's the silent majority. That's the voice of the people. This has been a long-standing component of Republican rhetoric, but it's gotten worse in recent times. Now that the Republican Party is more aggressively populist in the language that it uses, it is, it's more comfortable making it clear which America they're trying to represent. One of the best examples of this was Donald Trump during his July 4th speech back in 2020. Do you all remember me covering that? In which he explicitly said that Black Lives Matter protesters are not Americans? That they're anti-America, that like it's Americans versus the Black Lives Matter protesters, which implies that they're not Americans. Of course, the Black Lives Matter protesters represented the wishes of a majority of Americans, but by way of them opposing the right-wing agenda, they are now no longer American. And that's not something that you see from Democrats, by the way. Joe Biden will never say that. He will never say, like, he'll never take a look at a right-wing protest and say, these are not real Americans. That's not a rhetorical flourish that he would even consider using. It's a very specific tactic, an attempt to dehumanize the opposition, and more importantly, to frame anti-opposition values as being pro-national defense. After all, if Black Lives Matter protesters aren't Americans, then people like Kyle Rittenhouse aren't just random vigilantes. They're like home front defenders. People who stand out there and agitate in BLM protests, people who go out there and run them down with their cars, they're now defending the nation. You ascribe a much higher degree of importance. And God, my nose itches. Itchy, itchy, itchy nose. And then finally, Ur-fascism speaks newspeak. All the Nazi and fascist school books made use of an impoverished vocabulary and an elementary syntax in order to limit the instruments for complex and critical reasoning. Have you ever seen a pro-Trump forum? It's like they're speaking a different language. It's not just that they talk differently, like the words that, it's not just like they have different priorities. Like the Donald, you know? It's the language they use is fundamentally different. They do speak a kind of newspeak. I think that this was most clearly illustrated by that one woman talking about alternative facts. That was a little while ago, but it's still true. The idea that, like, you can construct an entirely different reality around the language that you use, and people will just accept it. Like, right now, there are Americans, Republicans, who legitimately believe, for example, that BLM burnt down Portland. They burnt down Seattle. And I would argue that is a kind of newspeak, because the objective of newspeak is to limit the range of emotional and cognitive expression. And if you really convince people that BLM is burning down cities, you limit the range of discussion. Now it's no longer a complex social movement. Now it's all about, I don't actually know why. I don't know why I'm going on about this when we just saw this. Hold on. I'm going on and on and on about, oh, this is newspeak and that is newspeak, but oh man, where is that? There it is. Do you guys remember this one? We just went over it. Taking existing academic terminology and reframing it into a set of conservative euphemisms designed to maximize the fear response that his audience is supposed to have to seeing these terms being used. So now whenever somebody says social justice, you're supposed to jump up in your seat and say, oh, they actually mean anti-white agenda or something to that effect. It's the reframing and restructuring of language in such a way as to limit people's range of cognitive thought. And it's very, very effective in maintaining a cult-like atmosphere. All right. We certainly did get off on a tangent there. Not going to lie, Vosh, burning down cities is newspeak take. It's dumb. It's not going to lie. That simple. It's not. It is true that it's a lie, but it's not just a lie. It's the big lie. When you lie over and over and over again, over and over and over again about a given event or a social movement or something like that, the objective of this isn't just to convince people of a given frame of reality. It's also to so fundamentally rewire a person's thinking with regards to that idea that they can no longer participate in ordinary discourse in it. You can lie to a person, and then that person who has been lied to can still have a good conversation with the person who knows the truth and eventually arrive at some kind of mutual understanding, or some of their points can be corrected. But if you lie so dogmatically, so repeatedly, so fastidiously, that not only is your worldview different, but your understanding of the entire context of the discussion is being crammed through a framework that destroys your ability to understand other people's positions. I would argue that goes beyond just lying. That goes to a point where you're rewriting people's language. What do these terms even mean to your average Trump supporter? Critical race theory? Right now, to me, critical race theory is an abstract academic idea. To Republicans, critical race theory is like an all-encompassing anti-white ideology that has infiltrated academia, schooling, and like the government and corporations. That's not what it is, but they think that, The end of civilization. It's not just that they're wrong about what critical race theory is, and they are. It's that their ability to comprehend academic terminology has been destroyed. It's about their faculties of reason. Who here has argued with a Fox News family member? You know exactly who I mean. You know what I mean, like an older family member, and they just watch it day after day after day. With all due respect to these people, their brains are soup. That you can't talk to them. And trust me, as a person who has talked to plenty of people I disagree with, I know the difference between talking to a person who I disagree with, who is rational, and talking to a person who I disagree with who is not rational. I know the difference between communicating with somebody when their faculties of reason are still intact, the framework where they're capable of understanding and processing different arguments, they still exist, and the people for whom that is not the case. And in the latter part there, when it's no longer the case, there's like nothing you can do. Like, it's almost impossible, you know? It's really, 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 really difficult, you know? I mean, Christ. Talk to like a progressive liberal about socialism versus talking to a Republican about socialism. If you talk to a progressive liberal like a SOCDEM, you can be like, "Yeah, I'm a socialist," and they can be like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm still a capitalist. I don't necessarily know if I'm on board with like the centralized planning stuff like that." And then you go, "Oh, well, I'm not necessarily in favor of that. I'm in favor of a decentralized economy. I just want, like democratic control." Then they could say, "Oh, okay. So democratic control, you mean like," and you can have like an ongoing conversation that's reasonable, and maybe you both disagree at the end of it, but there's still something there. What's up? Oh yeah, I've got it up on screen. Thank you. Thank you, White. Gotcha. Wonderful. Um, like you can have that conversation with like a SOCDEM, you know? But if you talk about socialism with a conservative in America, oh my God. It's not just that they disagree with you, it's that they don't even know what they're disagreeing with. They're just angry when they hear the word. It's not just it's not just disagreement. It's like a cognitive rejection of the you can say like I'm a socialist and they can be like, "Oh, you're a socialist? Okay. Well, I don't believe in authoritarianism, so I'm going to have to hard pass." You can be like, I don't mean like Stalin or anything. I just mean like economic democracy, like at the workplace, workers control. Like imagine if like everyone who worked at a job, like they were all the boss together and they made like decisions together, and the guy could look at you. He could look you straight in the eye after hearing you say that. He can say, "Yeah, well, you know, I just don't think that's human nature." You can go, um, people people getting together and agreeing on things like a democracy. That's how our government works. You can be like, "Yeah, well, that ain't socialism." And I can go, "Okay, that's true. But I think that the principle would work if you applied it to work." And you can do that forever. You can eventually iPhone Vuvuzela 100 octillion dead. Yeah, eventually, yeah, it all runs on the same. It all runs down to the exact same set of points. But you understand what I'm trying to get at. I understand that I've been stun locked for like an hour now, you know? But you understand what I mean here, right? We were talking about fascism initially, and the reason why I led off into that whole thing is because I think it's important that we be able to identify some of the trends of this movement before they like achieve the policy prescriptions that they talk about, because if we have to wait that long, we're kind of all doomed a little bit. Fascists rely on you not knowing what they are until it's too late. That's kind of what they like rely on. God. All right, I'm alive. I agree with everything you said, but it's rhetorically inefficient to the average normie. They shut down after hearing the word fascist. It really depends on the normie, but I'm honestly, from my experience, I really want to draw a line in the sand on this one. Even if it makes people angry, I feel like I have to be insistent on this. The Republican Party is a fascist party. I'm not going to back off that. There are like if you really want to pull away from like optically difficult positions and you want to like only talk about things that are going to be super easy and acceptable, then I should never say socialism either. I should say I'm just in favor of worker co-ops. But then I shouldn't even say that. I could say like I just want more workplace rights and pro-unionization. And if I step it back far enough, eventually I'm just dog whistling. Not ironically, but like actually dog whistling. Like I'm lying about my positions for the sake of optical effectiveness, which is not something I like doing or ever want to do. And with regards to the fascism thing, like my argument isn't it's not just that the Republicans are authoritarian. It's not just that they're wrong or that they lie. It's that they're like a fundamental threat, like an existential threat to the world, you know? Um and we all need to be open in discussing that. Even if some people don't like it optically, like I can't just go to like oh, I don't like the Republican Party, but like, all people have their differences, whatever. I need to be insistent on this because I believe it very firmly, We're running, I mean, right now we're at the point where like the red people, the Republicans in this country, they have a fundamentally different understanding of reality. We really do live in two completely separate worlds. The divide is massive, The optical damage from not calling yourself socialist is also big. You mean from calling myself socialist? I mean, I'd like to believe I am one, so. We have to be honest with our positions. And also, we have to normalize the condemnation. We can't hide behind placid, agreeable language forever. It should be common practice here in the US to just acknowledge that the Republican Party is a fascist party. We should be able to do that. We need to get over that hump, One of the big problems that I have with Joe Biden is that he isn't nearly hard enough on the Republican Party. Like, the Republican Party is an anti-democratic organization. He should be very loudly condemning the behavior they engage in, but he doesn't because he appeals to this same moderate neutrality that I think is very, very dangerous in the long run. It's very, very destructive to us because it gives people the impression that we are just two different perspectives, two different ideas on the world. And whoever comes. Wait, hold on. I think we're about to stop getting stun locked. Somebody linked something. Steven Crowder. Gay men are, quote, definitely more predatory in nature as far as recruiting, adding, you need to understand the risk, particularly with young boys in your household as it comes from this community. Woo! All right, we're taking a trip back to the 1980s. Let's go, Crowder. Let's hear some homophobia from a man in a tank top with a cape.
I think women generally, and I mean this, don't fully understand the danger at play, particularly from gay men. They are definitely more predatory in nature as far as recruiting than women because men are more sexually predatory in nature. Yeah. And I think a lot of women.
All right, let's take this one nice and easy. We're gonna slide on into these talking points. So first of all, and this isn't my best argument, but I will open with it. I am so overwhelmingly convinced that Steven Crowder is sexually attracted to men. No one can convince me otherwise. I am not the only person to say this. Okay? I am overwhelmingly convinced this is the case. I don't know how much Crowder actually believes any of the stuff that he says, but judging by... Wasn't it Blair White who said that Steven Crowder doesn't actually believe any of the stuff that he says? I think it was Blair White who said, like Blair's talked with Crowder in person, and Crowder actually doesn't have a problem with trans people, like, at all. He's just making his money. He doesn't have beliefs, and he doesn't think you guys have beliefs. We're just arguing against positions being expressed by people who don't believe them for the sake of people who do believe them, which is just great. Just fantastic. He's supposedly a chaser. I've heard people say that about him. I don't actually know if that's true, but anyway, we're in the grifter zone right now. And we are now deferring back to the time-honored and long-standing belief that that gay men are like pedophiles. That's what is being said here. Let's see where the argument goes.
Women just think, he's just catty, and I always have, women always love having gay friends. And I mean, I've known that for a long time, and I understand you're comfortable because it's like being with a woman, but they don't often understand the world.
As I understood it, the reason why a lot of women like having gay male friends is because they're less predatory. Not because they're like women, but because they're less potentially threatening. Because women like being in the company of men, because people like being with people in general, but gay men are much less likely to like creep on them. So women tend to, it's like a kind of like, insulation against potential predatory behavior. So yeah, it's not because they act like women. It's because they don't want like the creepy guy friend to fall in love with them and like turn the whole thing weird, you know?
Well, we're talking about sexuality that men live in. And so you don't see it nearly as hypersexualized, for example, with lesbian women to the same degree that you do with gay men. No. Look, here's the issue with the homosexual community, with men, that I need women to understand, because
the issue is the homosexual community. Hit me up, Greta.
It's often like, well, what's the harm in going to drag queen story hour? Okay. Any woman who has been in a sexual relationship with a man, okay? Think of all the times that the man wanted to have sex, which was pretty much always, and you said, not right now. Now remove.
So I'm going to take the alternate route on this one, and I'm just going to say that this is actually like misandrist from Steven Crowder. So Steven Crowder is essentially making the argument men are more predatory, men have less self-control, you know, men have less emotional control. This does remind me of that Dennis Prager article where he was like, men can't help looking at other women, and sometimes, you know, as a wife you just have to put out because men can't help it. If you don't put out, he might rape you one day, you know, like that kind of stuff, you know. It's basically, he wrote 2 articles on that. I think he's horny guy, Dennis Prager, you know. Didn't Dennis Prager defend marital rape? It was like a wink wink nudge nudge thing, if I remember correctly. It was more like you know, wifey got to put out, or who knows what could happen type dealio. Yeah. I think it was basically like that. Yeah, when she's not in the mood, that kind of thing. A Genghis Khan, I just put out a video on debunking a like fact sheet James Lindsay put out. Yeah, cheating is also usually the threat. Anyway, I reject this premise. I think all men are kings, except I guess for Steven Crowder, and I think that actually men are perfectly capable of exhibiting sexual self-control and not being creepy or predatory. That's my belief.
The not right now. That's every gay couple. That's why almost none are monogamous. Statistically, it's true. A very, very small percentage of gay couples are monogamous. Why? Because men can have unfettered sex with no emotional connection, and guess what? It feels good. And this is why you have a hypersexualized community. This is why AIDS was exclusive.
So it is true that homosexual relationships tend to be more non-monogamous, but there are a few reasons for this. First of all, you know which other communities tend to be far more non-monogamous? Any young queer couples. It's not just like gay men, but just any. You have no idea. If you go to any college, you will find so many like non-binary AFAB polycules that your head will spin. It's not. It seems like it's not like a male biology makes them want to have sex with more people type thing. It seems like it's more of the cultural background of gay couples in America have made them less amicable towards traditional or hegemonic relationship stereotypes. For it was only, I mean, keep in mind, 6 years ago, gay people couldn't marry in this country. We don't have gay couples don't have like a long-standing cultural tradition of like matrimony. You know what I mean? Their relationships are generally less stable because they're generally more stigmatized. And the younger you are, the more likely you are these days to be, you know, non-monogamous. So there's a ton of variance to this. But what's happening right now is Steven Crowder is trying to sell you on the idea that all of these factors can be ascribed exclusively to men's naturally predatory nature, and that naturally predatory nature is why gay men can't be trusted with children.
To the gay community in the United States, despite how Fauci lied about it initially, your chance of getting AIDS right now in this country as a heterosexual, monogamous, non-drug using male is 0%, and it's still statistically 0.
Wait, how is it? What? No, what? Wait, what? No, it's not. If you're in a monogamous relationship with a woman who has AIDS, what? This is kind of begging the question a little bit. You know what I mean? You can't get AIDS if you're in a non-drug using monogamous relationship with a woman. Well, what if that woman has AIDS? And then if Steven Crowder says, well, of course the woman doesn't have AIDS in this hypothetical, then the answer would be, wow, you can't get AIDS if your monogamous partner doesn't have AIDS? That's crazy. I don't think that anyone was making the argument that it just spontaneously appears in your body. It sort of goes person to person, you know? Okay. What?
even if you haven't been entirely monogamous. Let's just be clear about that.
Wait, even if you haven't been entirely wait. Is Steven actually arguing that het couples can't get AIDS? My man, you can do that. Yeah, he's actually doing the 1980s argument that AIDS is like a gay disease. Is he about to say that like AIDS is a curse from God onto gay people? He's doing the gay disease argument. By the way, guys, this is the reason why some people say that Steven Crowder isn't like far for right. Steven Crowder would like laugh at you in a death camp if he could construct it personally brick by brick. He would jerk off watching you die in a death camp. Okay, Steven Crowder will effortlessly jump back to insanely bigoted shit off of nothing. Remember, like, his channel keeps getting strikes because of how aggressively racist he is. I think he's doing stuff like this because he wants to get banned from YouTube so he can, like, throw a fit about it and, like, grift off of the outrage bait. Because, like, yeah, the Hennessy tree. Remember when he was like, they're going to give farmland to black people? And then he started doing, like, an Opie and Anthony, like minstrel show skit. I was like, oh yeah, there's crack in the dirt. Oh, my Hennessy tree. I've got dirt on my Jordans. Like, what? I don't even remember what he said, but it was literally just a minstrel show minus the shoe shine. So this is why it's so important to defend like trans kids. By the way, okay, because if you give up on that fight, it goes back to just trans people in general. And if you give up on that fight, it goes back to this. It goes right back to this. It goes back to gay marriage. You give it up on that, they're going to say that gay couples shouldn't be able to adopt, which is, by the way, something that Donald Trump specifically asked the Supreme Court to see if they could push through, that gay couples can't adopt anymore. They will go further and further back. And I guarantee you, if you gave them free reign for a decade, they would try to put slavery back in. I'm saying it. Yeah, I really do believe it. It'd be some kind of workaround slavery, though. What it would be is they would have like a whole new drug war that would start like arresting like millions and millions of people in predominantly like poor brown neighborhoods. And then they would have like prison labor rent out systems, you know, where the state makes money off of like forcing hundreds of like prison laborers everywhere. And wait, this already happens. Sorry, wait, hold on. Let me just dab on your preconception. This already happens, but they would do more of it. Okay. Currently happening right now. I think for the most part it's opt-in, but like there's a lot of abuse that goes on in the prison system. But yeah. Anyway,
and this is a message to mothers out there, because I think fathers always inherently at least understand what they're overly protective of young girls, generally speaking, and then they are generally speaking more aware of how they need to be protective with young boys. It's why often women don't understand how young boys are bullied.
Yeah.
Because it's very different from how young women are bullied. And so
that can be kind of true. The negative life experiences you can have growing up can differ whether you're a boy or a girl. That's true. But what insane shit is this going to lead to?
You need to understand the risk, particularly with young boys in your household, as it comes from
what?
This community. What do I mean by this community? I mean men who have kids climb on them, show them their crotchless nylons, and do drag queen story hour.
What are we talking about right now? What are we climbing the crotchless nylon? What are we referring to? I feel like he just wants to say gay men are pedophiles, but he's hiding behind the drag queen story hour thing. Just to be like perfectly clear, okay? Like as far as I understand, okay, drag queen story hour is like this is drag queen story hour. Like somebody in an incredibly wacky costume shows up and entertains kids with like a kid's book story time reading, because children are stupid and they like bright costumes. This is drag queen story hour. Like, and the parents are there. That's what a lot of the that's what a lot of the they don't want you to know, the conservatives, because they want you to be like terrified. But it's not like they just leave a bunch of kids in a room with like a guy in like drag clothing, in like garter belts and like a giant like crotch, like kink thing. That doesn't happen. It's just like costume dress up. The only reason this is even remotely controversial is because the costumes have like a gender bendy element to them, as drag often does. And that's like, and conservatives just get like triggered by that. Like, look here, trigger warning. Oh my God. Oh my God. Our children are being corrupted with this hug of the person who was wearing the the thing. Oh my, the so predatory. Um what a lot of conservatives will say is that Drag Queen Story Hour is predatory because one of the presenters ended up being like a known child abuser, and that's true, but I have a couple of points to add to that. First of all, um the idea that child abusers are not constantly ousted in straight circles or in like regular hegemonic non-drag wearing society all the time is ridiculous. If you have a problem with predatory behavior towards children, okay, you should be looking at the GOP, who systemically defend child marriage laws and who systemically defend policies that make it harder for people to address the needs of child sex trafficking victims. Okay? They're currently defending Matt Gaetz. They stood by Roger Moore. Roger Moore, right? I'm actually blanking on the name right now, right? Yeah. Trump was deep close. Roy Moore, thank you, not Roger Moore. That's a different guy. Roy Moore. Yeah, not 007. They stood by Trump. Trump had credible like child sex abuse charges against him. Trump was close friends with Epstein, who was Epstein. People on the right really don't care about like the predation of children, probably because a lot of people in power on the right engage in it themselves, so, they're fine with it. What they don't like, however, is gender nonconformity. That's the problem that they have with this. Like, that's literally it. It's gender nonconformity. That's the thing that bothers them, Like, I want you to look at a GOP senator's worst nightmare, okay? I've seen this very photo pushed around in conservative circles. Can somebody explain to me what the issue is here? Like, objectively. Like, not like there's a person with a wig on. I don't even know if it's a wig. It can't be a wig. The roots are like, it goes down to the roots. So not even a wig. Maybe it's a wig. I don't know how wigs work. I've never worn a wig. Wigs are pretty crazy. They do a lot of wacky stuff. Anyway, like, and they have like leggings on. Is that predatory to wear like leggings? I've seen female teachers wear leggings. There's a parent right here, but I've seen this photo used as like evidence that Drag Queen Story Hour. Yeah, it's not even see-through leggings, right? It's just like, yeah, just this person is wearing more clothing than I am right now. I'm wearing shorts. Maybe they just find him creepy. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Or her. I don't drag. Do you usually say her with drag? But um, yeah, it's like a creepy thing then, but it's like not an argument. Not a fucking argument, my dude. Sorry. It's just kids going to just see like a kid's story being read to them. It's not harmful in any way. Oh, the other thing that I was going to say, by the way, is that person who ended up having a history of child abuse got ousted from the organization the literal moment it was found out that they were. Believe it or not, Drag Time Queen Story Hour does not run security background checks on people to volunteer to read books at the local library to children with their parents around. Believe it or not, that is not something that the Drag Time Story Hour people decided they had to shell out money for security background checks. They might actually do that now. They just didn't do it with that one, with that person or with that. I don't even know how the org works. Is this even an organization? Is it even an org, or is this just like a thing people are doing like locally that just shares a name? I don't even think is there even an organization? Hold on. Drag Time Story Hour. Drag Queen Story Hour. Children events started in But in 2015 in San Francisco... Okay, it has chapters. Okay, so it's like franchising or whatever. Anyway, we're really off the beaten path right now, but... Wait, they discovered it before they even did the story hour, and the sex offender was not allowed to participate. Wait, they found out before they even did the story hour? I didn't even realize that. So they uncovered this person before anything even literally happened. And how many like Daily Mail or like New York Post articles do you see every week of like pedophile teacher raped 14-year-old boy or something? But nobody looks at this and goes like, we can't have women teaching children. We can't have heterosexual people children, blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't happen. It's complete nonsense. There were no arguments here. We have 2 seconds left of this clip.
It's not just fun and a little bit peppy or spicy. It's a problem, and you need to be aware of how they're marketing to your kids.
Okay, so basically the argument is gay people are pedophiles, but he doesn't want to just come out and say that because if he said it that directly, it'd be more easy to justify his ban from YouTube. All right, nice meme. I've said this before, by the way, but if you actually want to cut down on child predation, there's some really, really obvious stuff that you can do, okay? The vast majority of child predation takes place by, like, family members or close friends against young people, and they rely on the young person being too scared or uneducated to say anything about the abuse they experience, okay? The number one weapon you have against child predation is mandatory sex ed for everyone. Yeah, because if you take you know what's one of the things people say in sex ed? You'll hear this in every sex ed class in any decent state in this country. If people are touching you here and here or whatever, and you don't like it, or if they're doing any of this, you should talk to your parents, or you should come speak to me if you can't talk to your parents about it, because that's not right. That's one of the first things they'll say in any child sex ed class. If you're being abused, here's how you know you're being abused, and here are people you can talk to address that. But Republicans don't want sex ed to be taught to children, because then it's much easier for them to cover up everything that's being done. And then all the abuse the kid is suffering gets masked. It's not abuse, it's, oh, we massaged, or, oh, we watched a movie together, or, oh, we wrestled. And by abstracting it behind language that is ambiguous in its potential harm, they can get away with it for years and years and years and years and years. And the longer the kid goes without experiencing any sex education, the longer they may begin to believe that what happened to them was normal. Or, more likely, not normal, but their fault. Happens all the time. That's like the main way that people abuse children, and the main way you can fight it is with sex ed. Flat out, simple as that. Bosh, Republicans don't oppose sex ed because they want to abuse kids. What the hell? I'm sure many of them don't. But there are definitely people who understand and take advantage of a lack of sex education in order to prey on children. And what's more, I don't really care why they're doing it. The outcome of opposing sex ed leads to more children getting abused. I don't care if you're opposing sex ed because you're some sort of like Christian mom or whatever. If your political preferences are keeping children from like speaking up about their rape, then I don't really give a fuck like why you believe anything you believe. It's completely meaningless to me. As far as I'm concerned, you're just pro-child rape at that point. I mean, that's his, yeah, like that. I'm sorry. At that point, I really do not care about why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. How do you feel about Catholic priest story hour? Yeah, and they leave kids alone with the Catholic priest too. That's, you know. But intent very rarely matters to me. You know. Did you talk about how Trump succeeded in getting adoption agencies to be able to discriminate against gay people? I haven't actually gone over the case on that yet, but I saw it and it looked bad, and I'll go over it. Has anyone asked Gates his stance on 10,000-year-old succubi? No, not to my knowledge. All right, folks. It seems to me like we've got a choice to make. The choice is whether or not to cover Peru or to fuck with you. I'm kidding. We'll cover Peru. However, it'll have to be in a second. What's up? You want the charger? All right. We had 2 phone chargers, but now we have 1. Well, now we share them. Vosh is engaging in a CIA-level cover-up of what's happening in Peru. Oh, yeah, because I'm not covering it. Nice meme. How are we doing? It looks like we're actually going to end up getting 5 segments out of today, you know? It's going to be a shorter stream than usual because there's some stuff that I need to take care of, but we're streaming tomorrow as well. I know, it's hard. Yeah, look at how productive it is without chat, dude. Isn't that so much better? Was the shoe stream not a segment? That depends on whether or not Tempest is uploaded yet. Let's find out. Is it there? Is it there? It's currently processing. Okay. Well, I'm going to read some donos while we're waiting. There's a noise outside. Linkers are subhuman and will not be treated well during this read. Where's my remote control to air conditioning? Oh, underneath the protein bar wrapper pile. Ha! Oh, hey, speaking of my my newfound tremendous degree of physical fitness, I can touch my toes now while bending down. Should I try to do that with you guys? Would that embarrass myself a little bit? Maybe. I want to try a little bit here. Gotta prove it. Gotta prove it. Hold on, okay? All right, we're gonna do it, okay? I'm tucking my shirt in, all right? We're gonna tuck the shirt in so you lunatics. All right, there you go. That's how you do it. T-shirt tucked into basketball shorts. That's the shit right there. Okay, hold on, wait. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna prepare, okay? First stretch. All right, get ready. Ready? All right. Whew. 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 All right. Yeah, buddy. Easy. Easy clap. That it? Well, I said touch my toes, and that's my toes. So. Toes out of frame? Wait, were they? Nah, you saw it. Screw you. You saw it. That was a stunt double. Oh, nice, Flavier. They just want to see your toes. Maybe I do need an OnlyFans. You people would chill out for it like crazy. How are you so much skinnier than 2 days ago? I trimmed my beard. That's what you're seeing right now. I trimmed my beard. Harinya Hope with a very kind $10. I'm a librarian. Drag story times are super wholesome. No different from someone in a Disney princess costume reading to kids. True. That's definitely true. Alien Liu, thank you for the $2. Hello to you as well. LTC with a very kind $2.50. Do you think investing in the stock market is unethical as a socialist? No, I do not. Walps with a very kind $10. Recently lost some weight. Had the same hype that I could touch my toes again. Congrats. Nice. That's awesome. Congratulations. We're all getting out there. Wait, actually, hold on really quick. I wonder... Am I, I used to be able to... You can... You know when you can like... Ah, there we go. There we go. See, that's the real shit right there. Ah! That's more shoulder flexibility. Sheesh. I'm gonna die out here. Ooh. You are quite hairy, Vosh? Goddamn right. Do that with the other side? No. Bricklayer, thank you for the very kind gifted tier 1 sub. True, there is benefit in the holiday. J1 the Skate, thank you for the very kind $10. I have not watched Dr. Richard's show, so I'm not familiar, I'm afraid. But I hope the debate went well. Flowy Flo, thank you for the $5. How do you manage to not be angry at the world all the time? The world's always been like this. It's gotten better. If you let yourself get angry at how the world is, then whoever would have been happy at any point, you know? Cringe Leaks and Matthew, thank you for the $5 both. I really appreciate that. You realize the drama between TYT and Jimmy Dores because Jimmy believes the Duma chemical attack was faked and TYT believes it happened. That's my understanding. I just think it's funny that Jimmy Dore thinks it's like a good look to go on his show and laugh while describing workplace sexual harassment, you know? Rick Lair, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Truce. Lacey Sneaky Wikiki, thank you for the incredibly kind tier 4 sub. Is it just me or do trans men always have great smiles? Can't wait to win every sport after my first dose of estrogen. Happy Pride, everyone. Peppa Hug Trans, Peppa Hug Pride. True! Happy folks out there, okay? Happy folks. Bakura and Snaky Boy, thank you for the $5 both. Congratulations on the new job, Snaky Boy. And thank you, Bakura. You've roughly stayed consistent. I have no idea what you mean by that, but I try my best. Alloy, thank you for the $5. Good vibes to you. Psychin with a very kind $10. Can we please get a shirt that says it was just one titty? I'm glad you appreciated that as well. You fucking goobers. Socialist Stepdad, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Boy Meets Mini with the 2 gifted tier 1 sub. Cadser, likewise. Inkleblue, thank you for the incredibly kind $2. Banned from Hassan's chat, thank you for the $5. I will give it a look when I have the time. Spicy Red Lib 420, thank you for the incredibly kind tier 2 sub. Yeah, I'll probably give it a look. Probably myself on my own in the future. Samantha Sledge, thanks for the $2. You do matter. Vagine, thank you for the $3. Yes, the U.S. needs gigantic communal apartments. Reverend Skeet, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Thank you very much. Happy to have you over here on the left. We love you very, 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 very much. Alk, thank you for the very kind $5. Congratulations, and thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Vagine, thank you for the $3. Vosh was Lenin-based. Nah, he did some cringe stuff. Cool writing, though. He did cool and cringe stuff. Ithrailed and Blores, thank you for the $5 and $6.90 respectively. Really, really appreciate that. Have you read anything about the anti-LGBTQ laws in Hungary? Yes, I have. And my pleasure, Blores. Oh god, now my back is sore from the stretching. 85D2 Derek, thank you for the very kind $5. Maybe. Sake Tanuki with the very kind $20. Oh, if only we had done a drunk okay buddy segment. Rorschach with a very kind $10. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations on the new job, and I hope it works out for you. Speed Weenie, thank you for the incredibly kind $10 yourself. I'm happy to provide, comrade. I have a lot of fun doing all this. Hi, Progressive, thank you for the $5. Logical Pretzel and Bipolar Bear, thank you for the $5 both. Really, really appreciate that. Token Redhead, thanks for the $5. I'll give the video a look when I have a chance. Elder Lich, thank you for the incredibly kind $10. When will the new changes to the channel take effect? When will that second channel be revealed? I'm probably going to make that second channel sometime within the next few days. As for the changes to the channel, we'll be hiring Ryan soon, and he will be the new editor forthcoming. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the incredibly kind $10. I'm going to MeUndies.com/Vosh and ordering myself a pair of boxers, not even boxer briefs, just boxers. You degen. Don't ever order boxers in my name. Post Baloney, Orson Welles, and Hungamaster, thank you for the $5 all. Vosh, without a condom going raw, do you prefer pussy or bussy? Does bussy mean butt pussy or boy pussy? Because I've heard it go both ways. Boy pussy? Well, I mean, everyone has a butt. It really depends on the person. The vast majority of the time, fucking pussy is going to be way more convenient and simple, though. That's just a fact of the matter. But depending on the person, there can be a lot of variety in that. True, Kanye. Very true. Is girl penis Guinness? Maybe. Possibly. Is that okay to say on Twitch? Yes, that's okay to say on Twitch. Moist Sock and the Swan, thank you for the $5 both. Missed it together, thank you for the $3. McDaddy with the $6.90, thank you very, very much. Madeline Gibson with the $5, really appreciate that. Jerry Craft with the very kind $10, really appreciate that as well. Still Alive with the incredibly kind $20. I used to be a Lyft driver in LA, and one time I had to pick up a woman in Skid Row at night, so while I picked her up, this homeless guy came up to talk smack. The woman I picked up threatened him, scary stuff. Yeah, Skid Row is fucking terrifying. I do not envy anyone who has to live there. Ulfhed Hanar, pastor of Muppets and fascist hater, thank you for the $5 all. Joke's on you. I never regret my drinking sessions. Garrett Henson, thank you for the incredibly kind $10. I've got a coworker who went to this and met Charlie Kirk and made me so upset because she's such a nice person, and it hurts me so much. Anyway, play Halo Infinite on stream when it comes out. I don't know if we're playing Halo Infinite, but there are a lot of games I'm excited to play on once they come out. Guys, Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2. It's gonna be good. Blue Orange and Casey Marlowe, thank you for the very kind $5. Both Blue Orange, I've seen your email. I'll respond soon. Can't promise anything, though. Generally a pretty busy guy. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the very kind $10. True, Christopher Gregorikis, thank you for the $5. Much appreciated. Likewise, T-Mac, props to Shoein-Head with the drink. Yeah, Shoein-Head certainly did get drunk the other day. We talked afterwards. She was plastered. Totally not related, but H3's stream is 100,000 live viewers right now. Holy shit. Is it drama stuff about frenemies? It wouldn't surprise me if it was like that. Is she okay? Oh, she's fine. She was just super drunk, yeah. Appalachian Kami, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Matthew H, the $5, thank you very, very much. Anarcho Wiener with the very, very kind $10. Much appreciated. True. Hopefully. 8D5D2 Derek, thank you for the $5. Likewise, Bird of Hermes. Felix Argyle with a very kind tier 2 sub. No, the stream title was not a bait. Rivera Life with the incredibly kind tier 4 sub. Shoe on Head, literally braver than the troops. Hopping on with Vosh in a rare drinking stream. Lamau. I feel like I'm a perfectly agreeable person when I am drunk and not at all hard to be around. Matthew Booth, thank you for the $5. I have not heard about the raids in Hong Kong. Sound terrifying, though, and probably not something I would support. Debt, with a very kind $10. Take a stipend for my first paycheck at my new job. Just left the military as a lab contractor, but now I grow the devil's lettuce up here in MA. Rock out, my guy. Now that is praxis right there. Going from a military contractor to growing weed, the social utility you provide to the world has just skyrocketed exponentially. Thank you, and I hope it works out for you. Alessio55, thanks to the $5. Just got my first concept art job. If you ever need art or design, feel free to hit me up at Adayz55, ADAYZ55. I'm probably good because I draw all my own art assets, but if anyone in chat wants, thank you. JPG, thank you for the very kind $5. Yeah, I am excited about the fitness stuff. The thing that excites me the most about the fitness stuff isn't the being skinny, because I'm gonna keep it real with all of you, okay? I've never had trouble anyway. Honestly, if you're confident enough, you can just do whatever you want. You can just walk up to people, just tell them they're cute. It all works. The thing that really, really excites me is the energy levels, okay? So it used to be that I got used to this for years. I'd lie in bed and I'd wake up and I'd like, you know, like I'd get up and, you know, and stand up and walk off. And but now I wake up, you know, I got my little phone, you know, I'm bip, bip, bip. When it's time to get up, boing, like a teenager's erection, okay? Just slam, energy out of nowhere, erect, okay? Just run on out. I was a teenager who got erections, I can say that. Oh, what? Yeah, okay. No, yeah, okay, fine. You all know exactly what I mean. Fuck all of you. Anyway, the point is that the energy levels are so much higher, and it's fantastic. I don't take naps during the day anymore either. Turns out I was only taking naps because my frail body needed the extra energy. But now, Soul Buddy, thank you for the very kind tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. Isaac Ajay, thank you for the $10. Yeah, I want to go over James Lindsay's interview because he sure did not end up looking good there. B Summers, thank you for the very kind $5. Thank you. Stay Street Smart, thank you for the very kind $10. Joy Helena, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Holy shit, we're past that point now. Trans rights, and I hope your facial feminization surgery that was yesterday at 7:30 a.m. went well. Jesus Christ. Charlie Kirk with the 2 consecutive $10 donations. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. KD2110, thank you for the $5. Yes, we'll talk about Castillo in a second. Internet Mexican, the super person, thank you for the $5. Both Stay Street Smart, thanks to the tier 2 sub. Through the Wormhole, thank you for the $2. Home Club with the tier 2 sub. Screaming Phoenix, the $2, and then the $5. Thank you very, very much. That's what I get for putting off donos for so long. Jesus. Bricklayer, Cosmothulu, Bricklayer again, and Shine on Apollo. Thank you all for the tier 1 subs. I really appreciate those. Roses25, Chill Bill, and Hokey Salem. Thank you for the $5 all. Much, much, much appreciated. Thoughts on Raid Shadow Legends? Never played it, never will. And Ethereum Being, thank you for the 7 Canadian. Very much appreciated. Hello! Finally, something to break up the mess. Fat baby. Here, get closer. Look at him. Don't eat me. Eat. It's your foot. It's your foot. No, it's your foot. It's your foot. Foot. Your foot. It's your foot. It's your foot. It's your foot. No. It's your foot. Eat the foot. It's your foot. He does not want to eat the foot. What if I blew on him? Ow. It's your foot. No! Stop. All right. Yeah, mission failed, boys. We'll get him next time. Ugh. You look ugly without your glasses? Do I? Hmm. 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 There we go. All right, we made it. Sorry, I got distracted by a cute baby. Hair down, glasses off for the chat. You people don't pay me nearly enough to succumb to your horny posting. I don't even, without my glasses, I can't even see like if the hair's the right place. I can't see anything. I can't even see chat. Yeah, this is to all the cuties out there. Not people in VGG, obviously. This is all the cool kids out there, not people in VGG, of course, no. Not disallowed, discluded. All right. Except, of course, for Hyena. Okay. There we go. We're back. Hello. You ever shaved your beard? Not in a long time. What's your take on D'Angelo's new book that's coming out? Saw your tweet, but can you elaborate? No. Anyway, Gaijin Zero with $10. Check out Friendly Jordies producer getting arrested by a counterterrorism unit in Australia. Could be a segment on free speech, helping get exposure. That was the first thing we talked about this stream. Kiponos and Randy Butternubs, thank you for the tier 2 sub both. Really, really appreciate that. Sorry, Kiponos. Shark Snack, thank you for the very kind $5. LTC with the 280. I need chat argument settled. People argue you're not a socialist since you exploit labor and wouldn't accept your 2 employees voting you out as their boss. Yeah, it's not a flat worker cooperative. You wait, hold on. Not all socialist organizations are flat worker cooperatives in that way. I don't even think that like YouTube video editing, streaming stuff necessarily works well for the cooperative model. The participatory element that we have here is that my the people who work with me essentially set their own salaries. Also, they get complete creative control over everything they do. But this is one of those arguments where, like, you can never actually be a socialist and have any power if you actually do this, you know? Like, if you take arguments to that point, like, you're not a socialist because you have an org and you wouldn't let everyone destroy your org, you know? Like, it's like, okay, sure, just, then we can never do anything. There's never any power we can have. Because at that point, you're not just advocating that socialists support worker cooperatives, you're saying that they always be a part of the most extreme type of worker cooperative. Can you elaborate on your position from the other day? The USSR was anti-communist? Yeah, pretty hard to be communist when you're state capitalist. Tug Speedman and BQ Pad Does Stuff, thank you for the $5 both. Do you know where the last season of AOT English dub is? No, I'm afraid I do not. Garrett Henson and Sake Tanuki, thank you for the $10 both. I really appreciate that. Hail Vosh, I can't tell if this girl likes me. She's currently grabbing onto my erect penis. It could be she just needs a balance, you know? Don't assume anything. Whiskey Business MTG, JPG, and Eo Curry, thank you for the tier 1 subs all. I really, really appreciated that. Thank you, JPG. Whiskey Business MTG, that's a future segment topic right there for sure. Matthew H. Ocean Walker, Post Baloney, and Razama Slaza, thank you for the $5 all. I really, really appreciate that. John Sykes, thank you for the very kind $10. Matthew H., the additional $5 donation, really appreciate that. SFMTX123, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Matthew H., again, thank you for the $5. Yes, TYT has been tearing Jimmy Dore to shreds over this. Internet Mexican and Muffin Man, thank you for the $5 both. I have no beard or hair care routines. I just shampoo both every day. Muffin Man says, Vosh, the 3080 is barely a step up from the 2080 Ti. Are you delusional? And the NVIDIA 3080 is like in a different galaxy than the 2080 Ti. They're in different universes. The 3080 is insane. Yeah. I mean, they're both great, but Bosh, now that you and Hyena are broken up, your flirty comment addressed towards her is sexual harassment, right? Nope, but you misgendering them is. Take them away, boys. Num Num, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Loffin Cat with the tier 1 sub, and Frogsterian, thank you likewise. Trilo with a very kind tier 4 sub, really, really appreciate that. Very, very much appreciated. Osama Slaza, thank you for the $5. What's your favorite Warhammer Total War race / faction / legendary lord? I like the dwarves. I like big cannons, baby. Rev Ron, thank you for the very kind $10. Yeah, everyone got to stay cool. BQ Bad Does Stuff, thank you likewise. J-Lord at the 5 Australian. Much appreciated. This is what happens when you let donos stack up, boys. Mythaldu and Paparini, thank you for the gifted tier 1 subs. Sake Tanuki and Derek Martin, thank you for the $10 both. I really, really appreciate that. Soon, Sake Tanuki, I promise. Alex and Jack Attack LP, thank you for the $2 both. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the additional $10 donation. Literally Judas with the incredibly kind $20. I really, 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 really appreciate that. Yes, the algorithm tricks have been mean to us, but we'll do it better soon. Il I, thank you for the €20. 2021 year of Linux on the desktop. Nice meme. Ah, Linux. Balewin and H. Zaddy, thank you for the $5 both. Your mom, whatever, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Yowzy and Yowzers, thank you for the $2 and $3 respectively. Skooma Fish, Marketeer, and Salionaire, thank you for the $5 both. I really, really appreciate that. Speed Weenie, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub. Dude Man, thank you for the $5. Jason here, Bennick, thank you for the $5 yourselves. Really appreciate that. Frog Zero, thank you for the $4.20. Very, very kind of you. Alex and Lex, thank you for the $2 both. Lefty, Pinky, Kowalski from Nebraska, and Sos Pole, thank you for the $5. Oh, really appreciate that. HTTP Lovecraft, thank you for the incredible $10. Don't read out loud. Ooh, I don't know if we could change that, though, HTTP Lovecraft. That would be a pretty huge channel change. That would cut down on viewership significantly. Huh. It has been suggested to me. %15 speed difference? Wait, hold on. Am I misremembering? Am I not thinking of the 3080? Am I thinking of a 30 different one? Saved parts list. Vosh Glad. No, the 3080. Hold on. GPU benchmark comparison. Okay. 2080 Ti. There we go. Compare alternatives. The 3080. Wait. Hold on. Wait, hold on. This is the 3080 Ti. Where's the 3080? There we go. All right, what do we got? Let's see. So we rank 4th out of... Man, the 2080 Ti is still the 8th best one. 225 versus this, plus 15%. Huh. Are you saying we need more power? Are you saying we need more? Are you saying we need more power? Whatever, I don't care. I'll spend the money you donate to me. Yeah, this is a business write-off to me. I'm not paying taxes on the shit I spend on this. Plus 30% if we go to the 3080 Ti. The 3090 is basically the same benchmark as the 3080 Ti. 3060 is actually worse. 3070 is like the same. A 3090 costs around $3,000 used right now. What if I just went a 3080 Ti? This is speed rank number 1. I'd have the best graphics card. Period. You should spend that money on a separate streaming PC to offload the encoding? No. No. Besides, if I want a separate PC, I'll just get a laptop. You don't need like a big dedicated second streaming PC. If I'm ever playing a video game and the video game requires enough of my GPU that I would want a second computer to stream, all I need to do is get a laptop, set it up behind the monitors on the desk, run an HDMI cable and an Ethernet cable. A laptop can't handle NVIDIA. Yeah, wait. A decent laptop can absolutely handle 1080p streaming 60 FPS. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I just keep a laptop right there, just run the 2 cords, and then when I'm done, I wrap them up and I'm done. Easy peasy. All laptops are trash, though. I have, like, spare laptops. Whatever. We're getting a Ryzen 5950, okay? We are getting a Ryzen 5950. 3080 Ti makes way more sense for your use case. Yeah, if I can find one. Curious. Please don't give money to scalpers. Shut up. All right. What were we doing? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got distracted. We were still reading donos. Also, it has been suggested to me that it could be beneficial to live stream to a separate channel than the place that I upload my videos. But that seems like it'd be so destructive for the numbers. Yeah, it's better because it's really tough to monetize stream stuff, and I'm constantly swearing here, so you'd like edit stuff for the main channel. Does anyone do that? Yeah, a ton of people do that, yeah. Yeah, it separates audience attention. That'd be a huge change. I'd have to think about it. That's stupid, you want viewers? Well, I do want viewers, but, like, getting live stream viewers isn't as important as getting video segment viewers, you know? You don't get new subs from live streams. You get new subs from the videos that you put out. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to rely on all you guys to sub to the second channel. I know you'd do that. I trust you. What if your second channel is your streaming channel? The second channel could be like the streaming channel. It could be the streaming channel plus the plus like segments that don't make it onto the main channel. Yeah, maybe White. I have to talk to my top secret back end people again. The Vigilante, thank you for the 511. Sneaky Wakiki, thank you for the $5. Box 619, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Sociopathogen with the $50. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Please enjoy this song about Rent Strike. It's only a minute. I'm so sorry, but we can't get stun locked any harder. I love you very much. Thank you. Barnabas, thank you for the incredibly kind tier 2 sub. Day 1 of Femboy Tinder experiment. Shaved my beard, did Femboy photo shoot. Instantly tripled daily match rate. Based! And good luck. Blaxico, Iridian Knight, Needless Noise, and Rocks again. Thank you for the $5 all. I really appreciate that. The Emma Conjecture and the Willinator, thank you for the $5. That's very kind of you. Rivera Life, thank you for the very kind $10. New PC, I'm streaming again this weekend. Any streamers/chatters who want to talk, I love good convo/debates. DM me on Twitter at Rivera Life. Get 'em. Get 'em. Schluppen Life with a very kind $10. My sibling found a signed Shapiro book for $9. It feels like a cursed artifact. Is this a baseball book? That's cursed. Huggin' Raven, thank you for the $5. I'll give it a look. Bennick, thank you likewise. Can't wait for Elden Ring. Michelle Snail, thank you for the very kind $10. I have never played EVE Online and never will. Legacy Nitro, thank you for the very kind $5. Thank you very much. Razama Slama, thank you. Razama Slaza, thank you for the $5. Yes, I am a big fan of the dwarves. I see Dead Llamas. Yes, that men's rights advocate has also emailed me asking to talk with me, but I need to see the Sam Cedar segment. All right. Okay. I have sufficiently baited all of you. Now it's time for the one, the only Peru segment. And you know what we're going to talk about? Nothing you'll find interesting. You just wanted to hear me say it because you all jumped on the hype train, but honestly, it's not going to be that super interesting. You're about to be so mad. All right. We're finally doing it, folks. Just so we can all keep on board with what's happening around the world. Here's a person. Her name is... I don't know why I so confidently enter into segments where I will have to pronounce names that are not American. Keiko Fujimori, I hope. She is a politician. She's been running in Peru. She has been running for quite some time. She has been defeated every time, including this time. She was the next big possible candidate for the position she was running for, running against Pedro Castillo. As you can see here, this guy is pretty cool because his Wikipedia main photo is of him in a cowboy hat, and there's like 20 pixels here. So he's got the drip, he's got the red collar and like the white shirt, and I like it, you know? Is he vaping? Probably not, but if you want to believe that he is, I won't stop you. Leftist picture quality. Anyway, we have Castillo and Fujimori fighting against each other. And to long story short it, I don't think that you should like Fujimori that much. That's just the impression that I get from what I've read of her, and we can get into it more if you want, but you could just read the Wikipedia page. Instead, Castillo won. And Castillo, and if we can go down here, political positions. Based alert. Analysts describe Castillo as an agrarian leftist, populist, and socialist. He has said he is not a communist and that he is not a Chavista. Described as far left by multiple international news agencies, and here are like a million citations after that, Castillo has distanced himself from far leftists of the Marxist-Leninist Free Peru Party that chose him as a candidate, stating that the one who is going to govern is me, and that there will be no communism in Peru under his government. Farid Kahat of the Pontifical Catholic University in Peru stated that Castillo has a limited relationship with Free Peru and separated himself from the party's ruler, adding that it is important to remember Castillo is a candidate but not a party member. We might even say he's more conservative than the ideals of Peru Libre would suggest. He is frequently described as socially conservative. Now that right there is the thing that got a lot of people on the online left a little bit hot under the collar. And I want to present to you two simultaneous positions, okay? Right now people are saying Nazbol, and this is what I take issue with. No, he's not. Nazbol, you got to be like a Nazi to be a Nazbol. Come on. He's socially reactionary compared to what we're used to here in the United States. He's not like some big super progressive guy. He does seem like the sort of person who would make arguments along the lines of, we need to avoid pushing on socially progressive positions and focus exclusively on economic stuff. It says right here, you know, while promoting left-wing values on government spending and foreign policy, he trends more right-wing on social issues, directly expressing opposition to the legalization of abortion, same-sex marriage, or euthanasia, and the gender equality approach in education. Now, I want to be clear, that is cringe. That is extremely, exceedingly cringe. That being said, there is an alternate perspective on this that I am considerate of. First of all, it should be noted Castillo was certainly preferable to the alternate position here. So all of the people who called me an anarcho-Bidenist in a derogatory way are literally supporting the lesser evil here. And I find that enormously amusing. What we're doing here is supporting the lesser evil. All these people, no, I'm principled. I'll never vote for a candidate like Biden. It doesn't matter. And then they go ahead and they support Castillo. Okay, yeah. There are plenty of things Castillo does and plenty of things Castillo believes in that I am not very appreciative of, but I am sympathetic to an alternate perspective here, which is that here in the United States, we get so few economic victories and we get so many social victories that we may be more down on the alternate social path than might otherwise be warranted. Or I should say, sometimes we overvalue the importance of social progressivism and undervalue the importance of economic progressivism, because in the United States, the former is relatively easy to achieve and the latter is virtually impossible to achieve. Yes, but his economics are shit. Is that so? Please substantiate. It seems to me like he would set the country in a good direction economically relative to where it is currently. Though there have been criticisms that have come out against him from like farther left types. There's this article that I saw. It's from foreignpolicy.com. It says Pedro Castillo ran as an anti-establishment leftist. Here's why he won't govern like one. Now, Here we have the cowboy hat. Vosh, I've heard from a Peruvian that he's formed a coalition with leftists in parliament and has said he won't push his reactionary opinions. Well, that'd be nice. Peru's election is a wrap. Leftist outsider Castillo has bested the right-wing longtime politician Keiko Fujimori in a polarized and bruising election. It was a nail-biter, and Castillo's victory has yet to be officially certified. This was 4 days ago, by the way. 4 days ago. Fujimori has cried foul and is contesting the results, but it's highly unlikely she can close the remaining vote cap with Castillo. So, yes, Fujimori did the standard, you're cheating type thing, but it doesn't seem like it came out. A Castillo presidency is an outcome no one predicted months ago and has rattled investors and the political establishment alike. Peru's stock market has turned into a roller coaster that has dipped with the first and second round of presidential elections and Castillo's economic policy claims. Its currency, the sol, has weakened considerably against the dollar. You know, I once read an argument that one of the reasons why the stock market tends to dip a little bit more than it might otherwise in democratic presidencies is largely because the stock market thinks Republicans are more stable in their unwillingness to police the stock market. It's possible that the Peruvian stock market is experiencing fluctuations right now because they're scared there could be some sort of regulation impending on them in the future. Vosh, that is not a cowboy hat. That's a traditional hat from Peru. It is similar to what we have in Colombia. Okay, it is a Peruvian cowboy hat. I'm sorry, all big hats are the same hat, all right? They're all cowboy hats to me. Big hat means big dick. That's how it works. In every culture on earth, that's how it works, okay? If a Mexican president won and went up there in a sombrero, I would call that a cowboy hat. Someone in the chat would say, no, that's the same. And I say, okay, well, it's a Mexican cowboy hat. Same message, all right? Anyhow, the panic is overblown. Despite Castillo's radical rhetoric during the first round of presidential elections and his affiliation with Peru Libre, a political party with a Marxist-Leninist orientation, he's indicated he's prepared to tack much closer to the center while in office. To be sure, he represents a definitive ideological break from presidents of recent decades. He's an elementary school teacher and regional union leader from the northern department of Cajamarca. The head of his political party is a radical Cuban-trained doctor named Vladimir Quirón. Castillo flip-flopped on economic issues during the campaign, but has at times said he would nationalize Peru's lucrative mining sector and draft a new, more inclusive and progressive constitution. Inclusive and progressive is interesting. That seems like a socially left-wing thing to do. This is a major departure from recent Peruvian politics. Peru has been a pillar of centrism and fiscal discipline within Latin America since Peruvian President Alberto Fujimori, Keiko Fujimori's father, adopted neoliberalism in the early 1990s in reforms that became known as Fuji Shock. By the way, again, feel free to wiki this if you want. Alberto Fujimori, giga cringe. By the way, Hyperion cringe. That's, just, you can look more into that if you want. Global financial institutions, international investors, and powerful Peruvian business interests, and the Fujimori government forged an alliance that propelled Peru on a path to becoming a middle-income country. Although the model lifted many boats, you know the story with neoliberalism, enormous gap between the wealthy and the poor, weak state, flimsy social safety net, large informal sector. Castillo was a populist who tapped into the discontent from the poor, got a lot of votes in rural areas with large indigenous populations. That's good. This has rattled investors and Peru's elite. Very, very nice. State intervention in private industry. But Castillo has signaled he may moderate considerably. He backtracked on nationalizing mining, saying he would only raise taxes on the industry. Cringe. And he named Pedro Frank, an experienced former World Bank economist, as a key economic advisor. We'll see how that goes. Frank backs fiscal prudence and has mentioned fighting corporate tax avoidance as another way to fill Peru's coffers for Castillo's spending priorities, which include increased spending on health and education. By the way, I just want to point out how supremely ironic it is that all the people on social media who were jerking off that Castillo won are the people who are saying like the Democratic Party is like a fundamentally evil organization and Biden will walk back on everything progressive he said and blah blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He wants to spend more on health and education. This is a more mainstream agenda focused on a more egalitarian and inclusive society rather than on radical expropriation. There's a case to be made that in a country as rich as Peru in natural resources and with such extreme inequality, moderate leftism may serve as an antidote to the emergence of more extreme leftism. Just a few decades ago in Peru, for instance, dire poverty fueled the Maoist insurgent group, the Shining Path. Read a lot about these guys, which trained one strain of its violence on the more moderate alternative left as a political competitor. Residual elements of the group continue to operate in the country and launched a brutal attack against civilians in a rural area just prior to the election. Yeah, guys, it's not good. Shining Path, it's not good. We can actually, hold on. Shining Path Wikipedia. I feel like if I give you some half-remembered understanding of how bad they are, it would do a disservice to how much harm they've done. The Shining Path is widely condemned for its brutality, including violence deployed against peasants, trade union organizers, competing Marxist groups, man, the leftist infighting, elected officials, and the general public. The Shining Path is regarded as a terrorist organization by Peru, Japan, the United States, the European Union, Canada, okay, which consequently prohibit funding and other financial support for the group. Is there like a war crimes segment here? Anti-LGBT, instituted violence against LGBT people. The Shining Path allegedly killed up to 500 non-heterosexual people. Homosexuals, man was penis cut into pieces before he was murdered. Use of violence. Yeah, okay, well, okay, it's bad. The point is that it's bad, okay? Okay, it's not good. This path is not shining, all right? It's a dark path, all right? Yeah, Latin American politics is pretty complicated, but I feel like the Shining Path is in a very, very solid, very solidly bad position. The key question is whether Frank obtains a powerful position in the Castillo administration or whether Quirón's more radical agenda wins out. Some are already portraying the push and pull of these forces as a horse race whose winner will determine the trajectory of the Castillo administration. The broader political agenda of Quirón's Perú Libre party aims at empowering the marginalized in Peru. You know what I think? The radical turn moderate president act in Latin America is tried and true. You know what I think? Okay? I think that Castillo is a smart guy who wants to make the country a better place, and he'll say what he has to say to appeal to enough people to achieve power. And that after he does so, he'll ally with whatever coalition groups he needs to push a moderate agenda that he believes like pushes the country in the right direction. And the real thing that is left to be seen is whether or not he's going to make the right sacrifices for the right benefits, or whether or not he is going to sacrifice important and critical positions for the benefit of pushing things that were not as important. You know? That's the impression that I get. Castillo's a dumb guy who wants to help the country but doesn't know how to do shit, so he shifts positions like crazy. Well, you can intelligently appeal to a broad base. He's not smart? Okay. Okay, people are saying he's not smart. The impression that I got from his rhetorical appeals is that he was pretty effective in capitalizing on the frustrations of like the poor and marginalized. Huh. All right, well, that could just be, maybe you're all just racist. Curious. Whoa. Any big memes we have on this? I'm learning as we learn. Man, this guy's got that damn cowboy hat on every picture of him. I respect it. Partner. All right. Oh, by the way, the main reason we care about this is from now on, whenever we're arguing with obnoxious anti-electoralist lefties, we can accuse them of supporting the lesser evil in Peru, okay? You can say, I principally would have not voted for either candidate over there because they're both bad, but you know, you can... I heard something clatter downstairs, but I don't hear anyone dead, so... Okay. Right. We're fine. We're good. You heard it too? I think someone's cooking downstairs and dropped like utensils or something. That's what it sounded like to me. Well, this is like bad for the country, but it'd be worse if it was Keiko. Yeah, the problem is Latin American politics is so much more complicated than American politics to me. It feels like there are so many more layers to all of the shit going on in Latin America. You need to be so educated. Like so educated to understand what's going on over there. Well, either way, God, I have to think about whether or not I want to consider doing live streams on another channel. How about we start by making the second channel? Why don't we do that, huh? Actually, if you stick around with me, for a second, we have to hold on. Just chill out. You should really ease people into it. Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to establish a second channel. You better believe I'm going to shill for it. Asking me for my gender. Cringe. Oh, hey, Tempest. I was thinking maybe creating the second channel right now. I'm creating the email account so we have a different AdSense link. If you stream in a second channel, so many fewer people are going to be able to tune in. Well, that is true. Do keep in mind... Well, first of all, we're not moving the stream right now. The stream is right here on this channel. Do keep in mind, I'm a YouTuber first and foremost. My subs come in through YouTube videos. My AdSense revenue comes in through YouTube videos. This is going to be so much more complicated. It's not... Oh my God. You guys need to chill out, okay? Here's the worst case scenario is this, okay? Are you ready for it? On Twitch, nothing changes. It's the same Twitch stream. On VGG, it's the same VGG. Nothing changes. Literally nothing changes if you watch from the site. And if you watch from YouTube, the only thing that changes is that instead of subbing to one Vosh channel, you sub to 2 Vosh channels, and then the other one is where the live streams happen, and it shows up on your sidebar right there, like it does right now. That's the worst thing that can happen. Are you sure live streams don't push engagement? No, they don't. They get demonetized because I'm always swearing. Live streams do not push engagement. No. Again, we're not moving the stream right now. We're just making a second channel, okay? Chill. Okay, we have constructed voshvideo2@gmail.com. Very nice. There you are, Gale. What is the reason for doing a second channel? Yeah, you're right. You're probably you're probably correct, Tempest. What's going on? Will you just chill? Oh my god. Hold on. Do we want this to be a business account or it doesn't need to be a business account. Have a I've already been emailed. These nuts. Why do you think normies will be more engaged with the second channel? It's not about normies. Okay, here's how it works. Okay? We're gonna pull this up on. Okay. Here's look, here's how this works. Here's a thing, okay? So no, I don't want to draw it. Look, I'm just gonna explain it vocally, okay? It's really, really simple, all right? Here's what you need for a successful YouTube channel. You want frequent uploads of long videos, and you want as few as possible to be demonetized or of limited monetization. The problem is, if you overcrowd a channel, people stop watching the good videos, okay? So if I upload 6 videos a day, most of you are not going to watch 6 videos a day. But how do you know which of those 6 videos is the good one? Like, you know, you've watched my streams. Usually a stream has like a central thing, and the rest of it just sort of happens around it. Some segments are just better than others. Not only are they better in the sense that they're more monetizable, they're better in the sense that they're just better for the algorithm. They're more interesting. The problem is, I'm caught between 2 worlds right now, okay? I don't want to be a news show, but I do want to produce segments that are a little bit faster and not going to be great for the algorithm. So I have one channel, a main channel, Vosh, okay? And this Vosh channel, I want it to have one great video a day. One solid video a day. I mean, just a solid video. A good one. The kind of video you all will want to watch. And because I have access to Vosh, why mess with success? Because you can always do better. What do you mean, why mess with? You can always improve. Because I know what you guys like to watch. I mean, I have millions and millions and millions of use cases of analytics in the background that I can pull from. Right? It's got so much back there. And I know what you like to watch. You like to watch me making fun of Ben Shapiro. You like to watch my big debates. You like to watch this. You like to watch that. One video a day. That's what you want. But I produce more content than one video a day. And I'm tired of thinking, I don't want to cover this because I don't know if I'll ever be able to fit it into the channel upload schedule. So you make a second channel. The second channel is the channel where you put the videos that aren't as algorithmically certified. Maybe they get demonetized more. Maybe it's content that can't be monetized. Maybe it's shorter content, not as long. Maybe it's just more niche interest stuff, you know? And it goes over there. And maybe I live stream off that channel too. Maybe. I'll still have to think about that, but the benefit to that would be is that it doesn't cloud the algorithm. It's a channel, it's one video a day. It's the solid one. You understand? Yeah. Just one of the ways that you grow. We have already, Hasanabi does something similar. Keep in mind, Hassan does not stream to YouTube. He streams to Twitch. that means that his channel is free to post 1 or 2 bangers every single day. It doesn't get clouded with demonetized live stream segments. The past week, I haven't been monetizing these live streams. That's hundreds and thousands of dollars just based off YouTube AdSense revenue that I'm not making because it cuts into the algorithmic success that I might otherwise get from the videos that I'm putting out. But there are benefits to these things. Let me take a look at my analytics real quick. You can make a second channel in the same Gmail account. There are reasons why you might not want to. Booksmarts is live streaming, and it's still... Booksmarts covers me very often. If we take a look at my analytics right here, one thing that you have to understand is that analytic success is easily measured by monetization. There's a very strong relationship between those factors. If your content is getting a lot of AdSense revenue, that means it's getting a lot of views, and it means that you're getting a lot of true, Calais, and it means that you're getting a lot of the advertisers like those videos, which means that they're circulating more often. And over the past 3 weeks, since we've made a couple of critical changes, there's been a significant difference in the AdSense viability of the content. And that's good. That means more people will be exposed to the content. That means we get more subs. That means eventually we run for president. Okay, it's simple as that. Simple stuff. Please do not be afraid of upcoming channel changes because, to be honest with you, I'm afraid, all right? This is literally my job. There are no guarantees in any of this. Any kind of fundamental restructuring has the risk of, like, just kicking you out of the algorithm and killing your channel, okay? So you all have to be chill. I'm the one who has to worry about it, okay? You understand? Yes. Okay. Yo. Hunga Master, thank you for the very kind $5. Cringe Sake Tanuki, thank you for the very kind $10. I haven't seen the Jon Stewart bit on Colbert. Hunga Master, thank you for the 5 additional. Nice meme. Why do we live just to suffer? Thanks to the $1. And Schleppen Life, thank you for the very kind tier 2 dollars. Really appreciate that. You still get most of your money from donuts and subs. None of this affects dono and sub money. None of this affects it even slightly. But ideally, the majority of my money wouldn't come from donations. You know that, right? It's nice and all, but it's unreliable, and it also takes money from you guys. I don't want to take money from you guys. I want to take money from advertisers. I want their money in my pockets, okay? They have money to spend. You guys are living your lives. I want to take all of their money. No refunds. Anyway, you all get it. I love you all very much. I have some stuff that I need to take care of. You all have a wonderful time, and I will see you tomorrow morning. That sound good? Well, tomorrow morning, depending on, you know. Let's raid the Surfs TV. Yeah. Did I click the stop live streaming button? Oh my god, I didn't. I'm so out of it, guys. I slept really poorly. I love you. I hope you all know that. One of these days, I'm going to exhaustedly forget to click the stop live streaming button. I'm just going to like wander off, just leave you all here to enjoy the mood lighting. All right, take care, everyone.